It's been a while. I've missed all of you. I kind of fell off the face of the earth there a bit. Not because I wanted to. It was a bit nuts. I'll kind of get into it, but I don't even know how much to get into it with that. Good, bad, crazy, everything. So let's go to the chat. Insidious Tomas, boom, you are the first one here. Thank you for being the first one to be here and the first one to comment. Nice seeing you again. And yes, full lunar eclipse coming soon. I heard something very interesting about this full lunar eclipse. They said it's going to be on, the United States election day, and that it's going to be like the last one for like 3 or 5 years. And for the most part, where people have been like saying things about like, oh, eclipses and how they mean things lately. I know, biblically eclipses mean things, but for the most part, all the things people are saying lately about the eclipses and the blood moons, I haven't paid a ton of attention to, because I feel like, people are just kind of really want to ascribe meaning to everything because our world is so insane, and maybe they just want it gone, want Jesus to come back. So I'm always like, cool, eclipse, interesting, but I never, never think too much on it. But now I'm like, oh man, this one's kind of creepy, that the last one for 3 or 5, I can't remember the number, years is happening on election day. That creeps me out. Sorry, my hair's going a little insane, and this mirror image makes me confused. Yeah, so hello everyone. Oh, this is filling up fast. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I see the numbers going up. Mr. Okel, thank you for coming back. Thank you guys for coming back. I wondered if anybody would even come back after taking a little bit of a hiatus. Yes, I am back, and you are back too. So yes, thank you guys. Oh, yeah, and I look refreshed. Thank you, because I was wondering. I'm like, do I look a little worn? Because this last month was so crazy. Do I look a little sleepless? So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Flat Earth Underground, thank you for being here tonight. Yeah, so thank you guys for coming back. So I'm like, is anybody going to want to come back? Did everybody forget about me? But I guess not. So thank you guys. My Online Ghost, Russ, I know, right? Now I'm paying attention to these eclipses. Yeah, I miss these vibes. I miss chatting with you guys. I missed all of you. I missed the strangeness, but don't worry, I have been digging in on the strangeness anyway. My daily meal of strangeness. I still do all that. Russ, I don't know, did I miss you? But thank you. Thank you for being here, guys. I'm sorry, I was like flipping back and forth in the chat. I don't want to miss anyone. But thank you so much all for being here. It was a crazy couple of months for me and my family. It was wedding season, and out of town relatives, and just all the craziness and busyness that happens with that. So, good busy, but then an insane busy too. Because you know what? Is there something about October spiritually that just things go insane for everybody? Because I mean, you start to really feel it, and it sometimes, oof, that spiritual darkness, that spiritual oppression. I am like, shoot, a lot of people were dealing with that. So that made October insane. And I am happy that we are out of it and out through the other side. But let's see what happens now with our stupid elections. Is everybody going to lose their freaking minds? You know what? We are just in a place of now just constant spiritual warfare. But you know what? It's always been like that through all of history. And actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. Hey, Crypto BD. People will come back. Yeah, I'm so glad people came back. So I was like, oh, am I just going to be sitting here with maybe 0 people tonight? So you don't remember October? Yeah, October is just a strange month. And like sometimes there's so much I want to say, but like, you don't want to say things on YouTube. I'm like, maybe we should do some Zoom chats where we could all speak freely and like all see each other face to face. That would be a fun thing to do. I got to think about doing that. That might be fun. I know, stupid elections. And I believe elections are fake anyway, but it's like whatever way they want to make us react and behave. I'm like, that's what we got to be ready for. I mean, yes, I do believe in local and hyper local. I do think we have somewhat an ability to make a difference depending on where you live. But everything else, I'm like, it's all staged. World is a stage. It's all theater. So I'm like, whichever mad way they want to sway us in one way or another, let's be ready for it. Yeah. And maybe we should get back to talking preparedness, because I think things are, I don't want to say tank, but things, the roller coaster. It's like, those really extreme roller coasters where they bring you to the top. I think it's a newer roller coaster. I don't know. I'm not too into that type of stuff. Those things give me headaches. But like they bring you to the edge and it's like the really super like weirdly angled dip. And then now they just stop you and they leave you hanging there and you don't know when they're going to drop you over the edge of that roller coaster. I feel like we're on that in the country. So we're just like at that edge and which direction are they going to drop us in? Hey, Michael Parks. Oh, God bless you all. Thank you all for being here. Can you tell I'm excited just to chat with you guys? I love chatting with you guys. And like tonight's topic, it's not even something very specific. We'll get back into the specific topics, but just generally about the unseen world and kind of getting to that point where you wake up to it. Because like, let me tell you, this has been the year for me. I mean, I've always had somewhat an awareness, but this has been the year where everything just kind of like just wakes up and it's like, oh, it all makes sense now. Oh, the world is darker and more evil than we think. All right. And then you just kind of got to find a way to assimilate that and deal, basically. Because what can you do except deal? Oh, thank you, Mr. Okel. That's so nice of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Anytime you guys do that, it really means a lot to me. So thank you. So it says super sticker. I wish I could see what the sticker was. I guess when I watch the replay, I can see the. Oh, and speaking of replay, anybody who's watching in the replay, thank you for coming. I am happy to have you here tonight. And please like and subscribe to anyone who is not liked and subscribed. So Crypto BD, I'm concerned if the pendulum swings too much, there might be some civil unrest again. Yes, that's what had crossed my mind. And the thing is, I feel like that pendulum is intentional. So it's like, okay, how we're like the mice in the maze that are getting guided into like certain patterns and into, whatever direction they want to go to, they want us to go into. So it's like, okay, what direction, not are we swinging the pendulum? I don't feel like we're in control of the pendulum. What direction are they going to swing the pendulum in? Because what reaction do they want out of us? Because, that I feel like they use our reactions then to institute certain things. Oh, look, now we got to do more police or military presence because look at how these peons are behaving, so, but we all know that. I'm preaching to the choir. So, so wait, how many people in the chat are from the US and how many people are from outside? Because I know everybody's from, we have a lot of people from all over. I'm curious. Oh, any stories I can share from October? I don't even know. Okay, so like, you mean my personal stories of what made October so insane? Because, yeah, I don't even know how to put that into. I'm still dissecting that. But basically, for me and people I know. Sorry, I'm just adjusting something here. I just clicked something. Now I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it. Okay. It was like one of those months where everything that could have possibly went wrong to the point where it felt spiritual and it felt intentional and just like bad things happening to everyone around me. And to the point where it was scary and you could feel a spiritual oppression. And and trying to kind of battle in spiritual warfare against that, and also trying to be aware and understanding of what's going on in that process. Like in my whole life, I've never felt anything like that. Like you can feel the dark heaviness of it. And so yeah, that was kind of what October's was like. And the question it brings is like, okay, was this just a specific thing that me and people I know were dealing with? Was it specifically attacked toward us? Or are we coming to a place in the world, and as things progress in the world, where maybe more evil is unleashed, everybody's dealing with more of a spiritual darkness and spiritual attacks and everything. So I don't know what to make of it. But basically, that's what October was like. But like I said, there was also good crazy, family wedding crazy, in a good way. There was that too. So I guess it's all about balance. But experiencing something like that definitely, I mean, this whole year and what I've learned that this year has been a reminder, but when you're in those type of trenches, it really becomes this striking reminder of the fact that evil is real. And not that I ever doubted that, but it's just like in your face and that it's everywhere and that you can't escape it. Because sometimes I know there's like the view, or at least the view in the church, if you stay away from it, it pretty much won't mess with you. Just, you keep your distance. A lot of the world is good, but just stay away from the evil parts. But to me, this was just a reminder that no, we live in a fallen world. It's everywhere, and you have to be on guard. And these things come after you through whatever reason, whether it be the people that you're around, the house or the land that you're living on, your bloodlines, anything that it happens in any way. So it's just a reminder to me that all of that is real, and you just need to be vigilant, spiritually vigilant all the time. Okay, so let's see where everybody's from. Okay, so USA, Crypto BD. Michael Parks is from Texas. Ada's from the Northeast. Okay, so a lot of Americans. So then you guys know the vibe, the feeling that is happening coming up to these elections. Like, like what kind of disaster is this going to be? I know a lot of people are optimistic that things are going to change. I'm more like, okay, what's going to go down? What's going to go wrong? Because either way, people aren't going to be happy the way this goes. We've gotten to a place where you're just so divided and everybody hates each other. But like, I noticed that seemed extreme saying that everybody hates each other, but people really are like at everybody's throats, and like it's just this tension everywhere. And I feel like people don't know who's on their side and who's on their team, and everybody's just divided into different factions, but like quiet factions, and people are just turning on each other. And if you don't think exactly the way I think, then we're done. I'm like, okay, you want to live in an echo chamber? Doesn't that get boring? But so be it. Yeah, so you guys know what I mean. You feel it too. Oh, thank you. I mean, I don't always know how to handle things or how to react, but you just put it in God's hands and say, and I was like, look, God, I don't know how to adequately fight against these things. So I'm going to put it in your hands. I'm going to trust in you, and I'm going to try my best. And I think that's what you just got to do. And it's amazing how God does answer prayers and make revelations to you that then equip you to better be able to fight that spiritual battle. It's really wild. I know. Oh, maybe we should talk about this one show. But there is a podcast that has really like opened my mind. It's mind blowing. My sister just called me tonight because she listened to it and was like, oh my gosh. The podcast is called Blurry Creatures. And I'm obsessed. I can't I ended up subscribing to one of their memberships to get more episodes. It's insane. But they had an really eye-opening episode about bloodlines with Daniel Duval from Bride Ministries. I highly encourage checking that out. I was like scared. Well, I listened to that on a car ride from upstate back down home, and I was like I was pretty freaked out. I'm like, how am I going to be able to sleep tonight? And I don't spook that easy, but it was really insane. Oh, Torrance from Oklahoma. I was listening to an episode of Blurry Creatures talking about what goes on in that region of the country underground. Man, you got some wild stuff happening there, Torrin. It's a saga. Satan's attempt to gag America. Oh, I've never heard it put that way. But yeah, I could definitely. I mean, there's a spiritual darkness over the whole country. So there's definitely something at play here in America. But also what's interesting about this, when you talk about Satan's attempt to gag America, I used to sometimes think of it, well, maybe because we're like a Christian nation and we were kind of founded with those principles, that makes us more vulnerable to attack or the destruction of it. But then as time goes on and I start to understand the occult in America and just how entrenched it is in our government and just everywhere, hidden. There's so many facets to it. The more the more I start to understand about it, I start to realize, okay, Satan's attempt to gag America. Well, when America lets that much into, lets the occult into that much of its everyday life, into its history, into its government, into its leaders, its politicians, then we're kind of giving Satan the invite. to come in. So man, no wonder he's in trying to gag America and trying to destroy us. So it's like, oh no, somebody left the door open. Yeah, this is why things are collapsing in that country. They basically gave permission, I guess, because they're all on the same team. It's all starting to make sense to me now. And I know that sounds insane, but like everything makes sense this year. No, no evil is hiding under your bed. I got shoes hiding under my bed, so nothing else can fit under there. Hi, Elliot. Yeah, so I am so happy to be back. Can you tell, Torn? And like I said before, I'm so happy that people actually came back. So it's just a really wild journey to kind of uncover. And I guess that was pretty much what I was going to talk about. So like nothing specifically structured, because like coming back into here, I want to be able to just chat back and forth with you guys, catch up. But I wanted to kind of talk a little bit. Oh, look, my nail polish is really scarily chipped. My mom's gonna be upset. Now she always is like, "What's with you and the crack nails?" Oops. I know. Do I always talk about crack on here? Because didn't I talk about crackheads in the Olympics? But yeah, I'll cool it on the crack talk. I've never done crack because I don't want to lose my teeth. But yeah. Hey, Hex Huddle. Oh, that is a fancy mug. Thank you. Right? It's a mason glass with a handle. Yeah, it's so nice to see you, Hex Huddle. Thank you for coming back. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about just, I mean, it sounds so egotistical. I want to tell you about my journey, but no, I just want to talk about like the path to like opening your eyes to all this and how one person or how a person gets to the point where everything starts to connect and make sense in this world. I mean, because I was always into high strangeness and weird things, but like this was the year where everything like completely made sense. Even if there's things that you don't understand, you kind of have an idea of where things fit in and how things are at play. So, I mean, this has just been a mind-blowing year in that sense. So I just want to talk about kind of the journey in general to just like waking up to that and waking up to the unseen realm, and also waking up to the fact that this stuff is like everywhere and entrenched around us, and that we're told to believe it doesn't exist, and the reason why is so that it could get a foothold. So it's weird when you start looking at it like that. Oh, we come back. Thank you. You guys are too nice to me. Never done crack. No, you got, yeah, well, I just, because anything's possible, right? Everybody will be like, well, maybe her teeth are fake and she used to do it and then they got replaced, So, and why is she so into talking about it? She must really like it. No. Thankfully I've avoided all that jazz. The Bible says the devil rules this world. The tree of knowledge of good and evil was here before Adam and Eve. Nothing new under the sun. And you see, I think the really interesting thing about this is that, yes, it's right there in the Bible. But the modern church, I feel like, has this just very limited view on that. Like, it's not discussed in the church, where you start like getting into Genesis 6. Like, that's in the Bible, and that explains so much of what's happening in the world now. But it's so either breezed over, not looked at. Nobody wants to pay attention to that. Like, like in the church, yes, everybody's like, will happily believe in the Trinity and God and, the divine, the supernatural, angels and everything. But once you start getting into that stuff, that blurry stuff, the Nephilim, all this type of aliens and demons and everything, people start, going, no, that doesn't exist. But no, there is a biblical basis for that type of stuff. You can link a lot of this back to the Bible, maybe not directly, but you start seeing how it comes back into play, and you start looking, and you're like, that's cherry picking. It's cherry picking to start saying, well, yes, this in the Bible is real and correct, but this isn't. And and in Genesis 6 maybe is just something incorrect, something we understood. There's a little too much of that cherry picking happening. But again, there is this ignorance that the devil rules the world. Like, again, I feel like people, the church as a whole, a lot of the church is to blame, where they kind of act like, the devil and this darkness and everything is just like this distant thing. It's a fairy tale, or if not a fairy tale, because I have met Christians that don't believe the devil exists. But if it's not a fairy tale, then it's just this, this distant figure. And if you're just living your good life, and evil is not everywhere, but no, if he's ruling this world, it's everywhere. It's around you. You have to be on guard constantly. So the church is doing people disservice by pretending that that's not happening, that that's not everywhere around us, and that we don't have to be on guard and vigilant. Just live your life, have fun. The world is wonderful. The world is beautiful. No, I've really started to realize I'm like, the world is dark. Because I always believed there was darkness in the world, but I didn't realize that, oh no, everything's pretty much dark for the most part. Majority of it is. You find it to be underrated. Okay. Isn't it? Oh, never mind. I was going to make another joke, but I'll stop then. Love it that you and a lot of people are awakening. Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely feels like a lot of people are awakening. And the cool thing about it is that I feel like people are taking to social media. They're taking to these different online outlets and letting other people know. Like, it's amazing that, I guess, this duality to so many things. The internet is used for so much darkness. It's used for so much evil. But on the other hand, you get to communicate. You get to reach out to each other. You get to wake up other people, like we get to go online and be awoken by other people's revelations, or we could come here and just discuss it and bounce it off bounce it off of each other. So we live in an amazing time to be able to awaken to this. Hey, Mojo Shop. Have you been in the live chat before? I feel like you're new to the live chat. If you've been here, welcome back. But if not, then thank you for coming. We're happy to have you here. Hey, Hexflex. Feel like I was afraid I was going to get tongue-tied on that, but I got it. Hexflex. Nice to see you here tonight. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Crack is overrated. Oh, yeah. Okay. You know what? I think a lot of that stuff is overrated, but what do I know? The devil may rule the world, but not our hearts. We have the choice to only allow the truth and the light and keep the dark away. I agree with that so much. Yeah, that we do have that choice. God does give us free will. But I think something that, we have to be careful with is, what is that saying? The greatest trick that the devil has ever played is, on everybody is like, the lie that he doesn't exist. That there's a danger to thinking everything's all sunshine and roses. Like, we have to be on guard. We have to be vigilant, because otherwise you end up deceived. Because there's a lot of Christians who think that they're keeping this out of their hearts, but they're being deceived and they're getting sucked into other things. Like, like all these Enneagram people, some of the people like in the church, it's mostly like millennials, my age bracket, and they're so into the Enneagram, but it's like, that's dark stuff. Like, I think it was like channeled, it was reached through channeling and everything. So again, it's like another deception. And I believe that it talks about in the end times, whether or not you believe you're in the end times. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place with that, but, it talks about a great deception. And I think like even believers end up deceived by this great deception. So I think it's, when I talk about the church doing a people disservice, I think, yes, a lot of people, first of all, yeah, you got to be on guard. You got to guard your hearts. But then, I feel like the church is accidentally leading people into deception. And that's a huge issue, because you can think that you're keeping it out of your heart, but meanwhile, you're bringing it into your life. So yeah, not that I'm disagreeing, just going off on a tangent tin top. Y'all like scary movies? I like sci-fi. Only a few scary movies I like. First of all, I don't find scary movies that scary, but I'm starting to realize that there are some spiritual implications of some horror movies. Like, yeah, it does open a bit of a door. So I'm like, I'm not into opening those doors. I'm not afraid, So people are like, oh, you're living in fear. No, I just rather not open those doors. Oh, so I'm sorry. Let me catch up with the live chat. Thank you, Hexflex. It's very nice of you. Oh, thank you, Russ. Do you have a quantum number or you don't conform? Press 1 or 2 in the chat. I don't know what a quantum number is. Or you don't conform. I don't know if this is a joke that's going over my head or if this is a real question. So I guess that answers it. My ignorance to this. I like to think I don't conform, but kind of always been known for doing my own thing. But I guess it is what it is. But thank you. That's really nice of you. Got that 555 going. Thank you, Russ. That's what's so great about the chat. Just throw out ideas to discuss. Yeah, that's what I love about it, and just being able to suggest things back and forth to be able to look into. So, and it's like, we can't gather in person. So this is our version of sitting around at a table and just chatting and throwing ideas out. I like it, especially because you see, I like to talk. I'm an extrovert. So that's why it's so important to read the Bible and other scripture that's not included in the Bible, because there's so many things the church doesn't tell you. There's too much tickling minds, which is interesting because I'm actually going to start, reading some of the Apocrypha. I want to read the book of Enoch 1, because I've heard 2 and 3 has some issues and it is spiritually problematic. But because what's interesting about these extra books, and again, you have to use your discernment, you have to be very careful when you look into it, is that okay, they might not be parts of the Bible, but a lot of these were like historical references that people in the Bible were aware of. Like, and I think Jude even makes references to things that were in Enoch, the book of Jude. So it's like, the people during Jesus's time, they were aware of what was written in that. So they might not have looked at it as scripture, but they looked at it as like a historical document, So I want to look at it because I'm like, okay, well, I want to be able to see what their context was, what they were looking at as history. Oh, okay. So Fresh 2022 is your recommendation? Okay, I'll look into it. I can't promise I'm going to watch it. Because like I said, what I said about scary movies, but thank you. I'm going to look. Yeah, Taurus, time to get strange. I love being strange. Hey, Brian, how's it going? I was just thinking about you today. I'm like, I need to text Brian and say hi. So thank you for being here tonight. You know what? I heard that. Let me tell you, movies don't scare me, but I read the plot of the original, and now I don't know if okay, the plot basically horrified me to the point where it sounded so dark I never wanted to see the movie. Now, I don't know if its execution was actually as scary as the plot write-up that I had read, or if it came out a little camp. But like I said, scary movies don't scare me, but that horrified me reading the plot. So I never wanted to touch a Hellraiser or look at one after that. I was like, absolutely not. Google Strangeness later. Okay, I will. Gray screen? No, you know what this is? This is like my temporary backdrop. So if I'm in my acting class, I need a backdrop that's kind of like not distracting. This was my OG backdrop. So I'm like, I put up a curtain. So this is a curtain that's covering a door, and I just set up everything in this direction. I have the curtain here, and then when I'm not in class, I just pull it aside. So because this is my first one back, I don't have my regular space back yet. My little corner, there's a treadmill there at the moment. They had to get moved out of the way, and I was not going to attempt to move that treadmill alone and potentially break something. So yeah, I'm like, okay, let me go to my class backdrop, but I want to get back into my little corner and be a little corner rat again. But yeah, but I figured, yeah, let me mount it like a curtain so I get to move it back and forth. So is sci-fi horror a genre? Yes, it is. I believe Alien is considered sci-fi horror. Sorry, I'm going to catch up right now. Hey, Clintrons. Alrighty. Can we something cry and cute? No, it don't work like that. And I'm always suspicious of the actors that can cry and cute, because you know what I mean. You need a good, unless they're pulling the. I don't know. Let me not judge. but I do not. Yeah, I don't like crying in my everyday life. So I don't enjoy crying while acting. So I do not. I don't do that on cue. It's got to be for me warranted as part of the material. Yeah, not that I'm acting like yeah, but some chair though. I know I didn't fix my chair. I did not. I did think about it recently. I'm like, well, why don't I move my desk chair into that corner? But it just feels so big and bulky. Those big leather desk chairs. So wait, but it's not squeaking like before. Maybe it's because it's sitting on a rug. It was just sitting on bare floor in there. Maybe the rug is absorbing the squeaking. Oh no, it squeaked. There we go. Um, hey, Dr. Bray. Hope you behave tonight. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. So Czar, that's South African, right? Uh, who likes crying? Nobody. I know. It gives me a migraine. I don't like it. It truly. Do I believe or am I aware of dreams or interpretations of dreams? No, I do believe that people are given that gift to dream and given that interpretation of dreams. I don't believe I have any of those gifts. Um, but I know it's definitely a biblical thing. But I have a lot of thoughts in it. I'm trying to figure out the thoughts. But you know what? I just on a tangent regarding dreams. This is what I had this okay, this intrigued me today regarding dreams. I was listening to an episode of Blurry Creatures, and it was a members only episode called Taken by the Nephilim, and they're talking about sex trafficking and or just different types of human trafficking and how it's believed that there's Nephilim involved because people report seeing these giant creatures and these ceremonies going on with them and just all this really horrendous stuff. And this woman who works with this organization who's talked to these survivors of trafficking and who are telling her, what they've seen. She said that she prayed to God how that she wanted dreams. She wanted prophetic dreams. And instead, she got a different type of dream, which was really wild. So she says that before she would go into a trafficking situation, she would see demons in her dreams. And the demons that she saw in the dreams would basically be telling her, in a sense, they wouldn't be telling her, but what she would do is she would see these demonic looking creatures. Then when she would wake up the next day, she would search them online, find out which one it was, and then what that meant. So she gave an example of like she was going to Sturgis, and I'm not doing her story justice, but just to give you just to do, because I guess apparently it's a lot of trafficking that goes on. It's the Sturgis rally in Montana, and she dreamt that she saw this demonic creature at the foot of her bed, and the next day when she looked up the description of this creature, she found out it was the god Pan, that demon Pan, and what Pan is the demon of, what Pan does. And I think it's something with sex and chaos and everything. So it was interesting because she was having these dreams, but it was communicated. It was interesting because I'm like, okay, is this of God? Did he just give her different types of dreams? Like she legit seeing the demon, or was just God sending her a vision so that she knew what she was dealing with? So basically, and I interpreted it. I mean, my impression of what she was saying was that it gave her, it was God showing her an image just to show her what type of situation she would be dealing with. Because whenever she looked up, what this God was related to and what this God controlled, this God / demon, it would tell her, not the demon, but the type of demon it would let her know, okay, this is what we're going to be dealing with traffic wise. Now I probably made a mess of that trafficking wise, but I thought that was a really interesting, way of getting dreams and then interpreting the dreams. So like, yeah, I totally believe that is biblical. And that it still continues to this day, that it wasn't something just in Bible times. And yeah, so I don't know a ton about it, but I'm always intrigued. So yeah, that was my tangent that I heard this story that just blew my mind. And I was like, wow, because, we kind of look at it, or at least I've kind of always looked at those dreams as like more like, the story of Joseph, where he was interpreting for the king, and then it showed how the famine was coming, and 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 that whole story. So I always thought that that was the main way, but I'm like, wow, that is a whole other story, whole other way of interpreting dreams. I thought that was very interesting. I could have been in this. My accent horrifies me. I was just saying to my mom today, I'm like, Mom, why do I have to talk like I come from the Northeast? Why? She's like, because that's where you're from. I know, it's terrible. At least I can turn it off when I need to, but it disgusts me. um, let's see. Oh, thank you, Brian. I know. I gotta go ask him. I feel like your brother sent me for some WD-40. He's not happy with my chair. Thank you so much. It's so kind of you. You guys are always so kind and generous. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Is it the hinges or is it the wood? I don't know. I don't like WD-40 though. But I guess if I get enough complaints, I'm gonna have no choice but to do it. You might like L.A. Marzulli. His show today was called Hi Strangeness. Oh, that's interesting. L.A. Marzulli. I feel like I heard his name recently and wrote it down. I'm using my phone as a webcam, so I can't look it up in my notes, but I'm pretty sure. No, I think I searched him on YouTube not too long ago. Okay, no, so I'm like, this is my confirmation. I definitely now have to go look him up. I searched him on YouTube so that I would see it in my history and I would remember to go back. But now this is definitely my reminder to go back. By the way, if you remember dreams, it means your brain is working, in my honest opinion. You know what? It's weird. Like my whole life, I've always remembered my dreams. But then lately, I feel like I dream the past few years and like don't remember it, which is kind of I don't know, an odd thing for me. But I think now I'm starting to kind of remember them. Let's see, where are we at on the High Strangeness Down the Duck Hole merch? You know, that is something I still want to do. So this is the update on the duck hole merch. I found some like really cool graphic artists that do a style that I want to do it in, on Fiverr of all places. Fiverr, wow, is amazing. I just don't have the money yet. So once I got the money to pay for the design and do everything, not to make myself sound poor, but when pulse chain. Yeah, I'm looking for a different job, but that sucks. Shoot. You know what? I'm looking for a job in a different field than what I was originally in. Because I started out as a teacher. And you know how they make fun of useless degrees and, history is a useless degree or English or art history? Teaching feels like that because I look at all the different experiences for different jobs and so many just jobs that seem like they would be entry level, like require years of experience. And it's just like so mind blowing because I'm like, teaching is one of those useless jobs where I can't translate that sideways into anything else. But it is what it is. But I'm like, yeah, why does nobody look at that as a useless degree? It is a useless degree if you don't want to be a teacher. But yeah, so I'm figuring that out. But once everything gets settled, I will pay a graphic artist to do the socks. I wanted to do it like in an 80s style. And then I will get that out there. But thank you for still being interested in it. Oh, thank you, Hex Hoddle. Not even enough for Starbucks, but it's a thought that counts. Didn't realize you had super chats. Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you. It is kind of enough. It's almost enough for Starbucks. I think my Starbucks, my favorite thing at Starbucks costs $5.56. No joke. So I can dig up a penny in my car. Thank you so much. That's really nice of all you guys. Thank you. So thank you, Hex Hoddle. So he does. Okay, then that's probably why I wanted to look him up because he talks about the Nephilim a lot. Then that's probably why, because I can't remember what triggered me to wanting to look him up, but that must have been it. Let's see. Sorry, I'm catching up. David Paulides. He has a few documentaries on YouTube and Prime called Missing 411. Okay, thank you. I will look into these. You know what? I love This is the thing I love about StreamYard is like the fact that when you throw these comments up on the screen, it's permanent, it's recorded, and I just get to go back and look at all this. Um, so thank you guys for the suggestions. I'm always intrigued and interested in them. And actually, speaking of like different suggestions and things to dive into, where's the book? Hold on. Okay, I'm like, is what I'm wearing presentable enough to stand up? Yes. Okay, hold on. So I picked up this book and I'm so excited. So it's kind of like it's related to what I'm talking about tonight. It's called The Unseen Realm by Michael Heiser. He's a guy that I heard um, on Blurry Creatures. I don't agree with everything he said, but this is like kind of his, Genesis 6 thing, which we're going to talk about tonight. But kind of, talking about an awakening. This I think is awesome because, we're talking about sometimes the church can be lacking in that whole supernatural worldview and have that truncated supernatural worldview. So he, the little subtitle here, Recovering the Supernatural Worldview of the Bible. I'm like, perfect. This I'm going to read and I'm going to mark up and take notes on. And then I will probably come back and then tell everybody what I learned about it. Dental assistant, you know what? I used to not be squeamish and now I am. So I'm like, I can't. A switch flipped in me. And I like all of a sudden I'm squeamish and I can't handle certain things anymore. So yeah, so anything in the health sciences is out. I'm so glad I never worked in health sciences because my degree then would be totally useless. I would have to leave. Hey, Riddick. Why aren't you sleeping? It's 3 a.m. here. I'm having a beer and just popped in to say hello. Well, you know what? You're not sleeping, but it's Saturday, right? So you have a day to recover tomorrow. So I hope you're having a good night. Do you usually stay up this late? Is this like your usual, or is this just your weekend thing? Burned by a penny in a car. Wait, I don't know. Wait, does that mean burned? That I insulted? It wasn't an insult. It was genuine. I meant that it was perfect. It was the perfect amount to buy me a Starbucks. Coast to Coast on YouTube did a show recently on Paulides and his documentary, and it was really good. Oh, now I remembered why. Paulides and his documentary made me remember that I believe The Unseen Realm, if anyone wants to check it out. I haven't checked it out yet, but I've heard that they have a really good documentary. That there is a really good documentary on this on YouTube, and I believe it's free. Be a homeschool advisor to parents to teach their own kids. I've thought about that, but like some of this stuff is like so hard to figure out how to advertise and get into and all this and that, or even like, I don't know, the school stuff gets weird because like as a teacher, somebody with a teaching certificate, you can make like $150 an hour tutoring, but yet the thing is you can't find clients. So it's weird. It's very strange. I don't know if it's just the post-COVID world and economy, but that that is something that crossed my mind. So thank you, Brian. I got maybe I can search for, but I don't even know what to advise on. I guess you just answer questions, whatever they want. It's so weird. It's so weird trying to figure all this out. I don't like it. Maybe Pulse just needs to come faster. Hey, my life is awesome. Nice to see Pulse Chain Roasties making content. Keep up the great work, girl. Thank you. Have you heard or read the book Beyond the Poles? I have not, but that sounds like right up my alley. Beyond the Poles. If it's about just creepy stuff in Antarctica, I ain't sold on that flat Earth stuff, and I don't mean to start a debate. but Beyond the Poles, I will look into that. Thank you. Oh, and so next week. So anyone who's able to join us next week or catch us in the replay, My Life is Awesome will be on the show next week. And we're going back and forth about what the topic is going to be. But I think we landed on a topic. I didn't get to respond yet, but yes, I really like that suggestion. So I think we're going to go with that. So I'm excited for next week's show, and I hope you guys come back next week. A trauma switch. Oh, with trauma causing the switch? Possibly. Yeah, sometimes you see something you don't want to remember. And then, yeah, you just can't handle those type of stuff anymore. Like, yeah, you see an injury and you're like, oh, no more. Thanks, everyone. You got me taking notes. Now I got homework. See, this is why I love this discussion, this back and forth. Like, there's so many suggestions and rabbit holes or duck holes, right? We can just all tell each other to go into, and we just kind of follow them along, and then it opens our eyes to different things. I love the duck holes. You'll admit you pick up pennies, but only if they face up for luck. Does that make you strange? I think that's what most people do, right? I still see people pick up stuff on the sidewalk. Oh, somebody, I forget, somebody had taught me though that only if they're face up, otherwise it's bad luck. So you know what? You keep picking up your pennies because, like, what is one penny? How much pulse does it buy, right? So those pennies are gonna be worth a lot someday. Sorry, catching up. Hey, Hex Luther. Yes, it's been a while since I've seen you. I also disappeared for a little bit, so thank you for coming to my first stream back. English online too. I have heard that. Thank you guys for the suggestions. I chat with the wealthy Hexkin. My mom did suggest that. She's like, maybe you just need to get married to somebody with money. I'm like, yeah, I guess it would be nice. Doesn't everybody want to marry somebody with money? I'm teasing. I'm not being materialistic, superficial. So you got insomnia. You're glad that people are streaming in the US, so you have something to engage with at night. You know what? Better than just laying around staring into space and overthinking, right? So I'm glad you're able to find something to engage with and hopefully enjoy. Thank you for choosing this live stream to hang out in. So thank you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you guys. Lit needs a wrench. Yes. So hold on. Sorry, I just lost the chat. Okay, there we go. Yes, I will give you a wrench, Lit. Thank you. So once I'm off here, because I haven't been able to figure out how to do it from here. I don't even know if I can, but I will do that. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just catching up. There's so much going on. The chat is like hopping. So come up with my own curriculum so we can raise our kids to be errands and not sheeple. Oh my gosh, curriculum writing sucks though. Okay, but here's the thing. This is my perspective on that. Oh, and I'm gonna take off Hex Luther because I'm talking about homeschooling. Okay, my perspective on that is I don't believe in like a solid set in stone curriculum for homeschooling. I think that a lot of times you kind of need to roll with what a kid is interested in and then build out from there. Because they call it interdisciplinary learning, that any type of basically like you can take an interest in a lesson, an interest in a certain topic, and then make like 10 other lessons out of that based on that one topic. So like, let's say you have a kid who's really fascinated with the ocean. Okay. So it's so easy to make like interdisciplinary learning happen from that, because let's say you can teach math using oceanic things. Then you could teach history, talking about maybe the history of oceans and the history of exploration and everything. You can use reading. Let's read about the oceans and let's work on your reading comprehension with that. Gosh, I'm forgetting all the other subjects. Okay, art. Let's do something based on the ocean. So I feel like it's certain kids do not work with a set in stone curriculum. It's way better to find out what a kid's interest is and then branch off from there and then just start the learning outward from that. Does that make sense? So I'm kind of almost like maybe more of an unschooler. I think that becomes more of an unschooling type thing. And it sounds unstructured, but if you keep building on that, a lot of times a kid will come out with better knowledge than you would come out of like schooling. Sometimes I went to some really like highly ranked schools. But I feel like a lot of stuff like I learned on my own. Like I sometimes joke that the only useful thing I learned in high school was typing. I could type fast. That's it. So does that make sense? It's kind of all over the place. Maybe we need to talk specifically about that sometime. Yes, I am so excited for you to be on the stream next week. So thank you for agreeing and that it worked out with your schedule. I cannot wait to talk. I'll leave it as a surprise until it gets closer, but I cannot wait to talk that topic with you. Yes. Hopefully, yeah, no. Hopefully full throttle. What I mean hopefully is I'll still be here every Saturday, but hopefully the topics will be interesting. We'll see. I wrote down some ideas and stuff. Yes. Oh my gosh, can you imagine Penny Pulse? Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. But I'm like, but I sometimes do get that little creeping feeling at the back of my brain, like, what if Pulse Chain just never happens? And not that I believe that any of it is a scam, but like it's just that little poke on your shoulder. What if? Let me not think about that. Yes, I can't wait. Let's see. Oh, thank you for being here tonight, my online ghost. You have a good evening. Okay, so you can't. So I'm not just confused. Okay. Thank you for clarifying, Brian. Okay, so here's the book that was suggested by My Life is Awesome. Or lit, right? I'm sorry. My brain just always just wants to read what's on the screen right there. So World Beyond the Poles by F. Amadeo Giannini. So thank you for that suggestion. Yeah, guys, like totally. Let's make the chat section just a bunch of suggestions and stuff, because you know what, for anybody who wants to come back to it or anybody watching in the replay, you can just click that little live chat icon. I think you might have to wait until a few hours after it airs or processes it, and you can, for anyone who doesn't know, you can follow along with the chat at the side. You can kind of scroll through it a bit and you can find anything we talked about in here. You can find the suggestions that we toss around too. You're fascinated with Pulse Chain and branch off from there. I know Pulse Chain is like super fascinating, and what it could potentially do in the future is, if people just stopped shouting scam and actually stopped to think about it, it would. I think their minds would be blown, and they would immediately be kind of converted over to that. I mean, because how do you deny the capabilities of Pulse? Hey, Andrew. Nice to see you back, and nice to be back. YouTube University. I am telling you, wow. Because I remember when YouTube was back in 2005. We all remember that. It's amazing to see how it's grown. But just like anytime you want to figure something out, anytime you want to learn something, it's wild that you can just type it into YouTube and then you find a step by step on what to do. Like I was fixing up okay, I don't have like a really excellent knowledge about computers and repair and that type of thing, but I was fixing up a computer for my dad that had kind of sat for a bit and kind of needed to be, I don't know, there's some little battery inside the computer needed to be changed that looked like, a quarter. And like any other time before this, it would have stumped me. It would have had no idea what was happening. And because like after you put in the battery, then you need to like type certain things into the computer. I would have had no clue. I would have either, I don't know if I would have tossed the computer, if I would have had to send it somewhere, ask somebody how to do it. And it amazed me that I just went onto YouTube and got everything up and running so easily. And again, it might have sounded like an easy problem, but to somebody who doesn't know anything about computer repair, it was like, oh shoot, that would have really stumped me for a long time. And I was just like, I couldn't get over the fact that I'm like, wow, how amazing that I just turned on YouTube and I found the solution there. I didn't need to pay anybody to do it. I just did it on my own and it's working and everything's going just fine. Like that's just incredible. And even like I looked up one time how to replace the thermostat in my car. It was all there, a step by step, how to replace the alternator once too. And I'm like, okay, yes, that stuff is risky if you're not a mechanic. But if somebody was in a desperate position and they needed to really just get something done, and maybe they had somebody who could assist them who had better knowledge than they did, I'm like, it's amazing that you have everything laid out. Okay, alternator, a little extreme, probably wouldn't do that as a beginner, but some of the basic stuff, I'm like, it's pretty great that you can just find out anything like that. Ugh, maybe I should have went to trade school. No. No. We're all nothing about trade school. We're all meant to be on certain paths. I was on this path for a reason. Yeah, as much as I joke that I would like love to return my degrees, I'm like, okay, there's a reason for everything. And shouldn't talk about changing the past. If you know what you're doing, you can shape a kid like Leonardo da Vinci shaped a naked stone to be a masterpiece, but it needs knowledge. Yeah. And we live what what an amazing time that we live in, that we have this wealth of knowledge at our fingertips. Like, I can't imagine what it would be like to kind of homeschool a kid and kind of shape that knowledge and sculpt that brain without easy access to information. And I know people did it, and that the kids turned out fine and probably better off than kids were in regular school. But I just can't imagine doing that without this at your fingertips. And okay, let's say we get into a grid down scenario. Then I guess it is back to that. But yet we've spent years with this at our fingertips. I almost feel like we've accumulated a lot more knowledge than, let's say, parents would have had in like the 60s or 70s. We've just kind of sucked it all up like a sponge, and hopefully we can, squeeze out that sponge into somebody else's brain. The children lose interest in things like, I wanted to be an astronaut, but now just steak and chill. But if you were a kid being homeschooled, you can turn that astronaut thing into like 100 different lessons, and it would have kept you engaged in your lessons, right? Is it sarcasm? Are you serious? But thank you. But no, I believe this is a nice, serious comment. So thank you. Thank you, Russ. That's very nice of you to say. Oh, BioSpouty. Yes, that was it. So yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That would have, and it seems dumb, but I would have had no clue what the problem was. So I wouldn't have known to change that. I had no idea that little battery was inside the computer. Like, I know like Super Nintendo cartridges have those things inside, but I didn't think an actual computer did because it has a power cord. But I'm like, oh, YouTube told me what to do, and it got solved. Yes, leave your book club, documentary, movie suggestions in the comments too after you hit the like and subscribe button. I like that. Thank you. I always love seeing comments. So I would enjoy that, guys. Thank you. That is an old PC. Yeah, because a family member needed just a basic PC just to do a few simple things instead of going out and buying a whole brand new one, because they mainly just use a tablet for most of their needs. So it was like, okay, how can they just needed Microsoft Word basically to do a few things. So it was like, all right, how can we do this simply? And it was my late grandfather's computer, who passed away in 2016. Yeah, so I guess it is an old computer. So I turned it on, and yeah, it gave me all those issues, figured it out, and got it up and running, and now it does what it needs to do. And then everything else is like done over for that person is done on a tablet. Just wait for Pulse to spawn all these new DeFi tokens based on hacks, and all get the copies. It's good. More volume, more Pulse burned. Okay, that's interesting, because I do wonder. I'm like, is this oversaturation okay? Is it, is it bad? What effect does it have? Is it diluting thing? Okay. There's a way to look at that. Oh, what are my degrees? My undergrad is in bio, like specifically it's like an environmental concentration, and my grad is in science education. But as I joke, I would gladly return those and get the money back. But yeah, those are my degrees, and it's interesting when you start looking at remote work. You're like, first of all, I don't believe in encouraging kids to go to college, but if you were, I would definitely encourage a tech degree for sure. Hi, Bearded Saint. Floppy disk? No, there's no floppy disk in that computer, because he bought it. So my grandfather passed in 2016, but I believe he bought it in 2015. So it wasn't like an ancient computer he bought. It was a Dell. So like, is Dell using old tech? But it definitely doesn't have a floppy disk drive. You were public school in the 90s? So how did you turn out? No, I'm teasing. You seem to have turned out all right. And college in the 2000s. Okay, so you're a young guy, college in the 2000s. Squeeze out that knowledge into someone else's brain, right? The sponge, I guess that's kind of how the sponge goes. Um, hate sarcasm. Okay, good. So that was thank you. That was nice of you then for your nice comment. Um, sorry, I'm catching up. 6 years old. Gosh, what the computer? Okay, but like I know some people like get updated computers and stuff, but like for my family's oh, then you're gonna love this. My desktop. So okay, right now working off a laptop, but my desktop, um, which I still use, is from 2012. Because like if you're not doing anything really intense on the computer, yeah, it would be fun to have really upgraded nicely upgraded tech, but I guess it doesn't always become a financial priority for everybody. Maybe yeah, in the future it would be pretty cool to be able to upgrade everybody's stuff. But I guess what takes the priority is my phone is from 2020, so at least it's newer, so like the stuff I use every day. And that family member, okay, the computer is ancient, but their tablet is newer. So kind of we balance, right? You guys are laughing at my old tech. Well, my iPad is that I use for class is a 2016 also. So that one's quite old. It's working pretty good, but it's acting weird lately. But still works. Except I always forget to charge it. Then I get to class and I have no charge. Hit the like button. Yes, please. Any likes? I would love any likes and subs and comments. So thank you guys. Knowledge and indoctrinated information are different. Too bad schools are only indoctrinating those that seek knowledge. And I remember years ago, my dad was talking about indoctrination in schools. And it was happening, but like the amount it's increased in such a short amount of time, like it's increased exponentially. It's like, do teachers even teach anymore? And even if they're actually teaching, it's just like hidden and wrapped in there, the indoctrination. It's useless. The amount of time that you're sitting in school is useless because you're just there to get indoctrinated. So you could do so much better things in that time. You could learn all that material in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then have the rest of your day to learn a practical skill. What do I have in this jar, moonshine? Water. Zero water, I believe, is that I did not get the water distiller, Ryan. But yeah, I did get some zero water. So supposed to be okay. Guess we'll see. Baby steps. Did you get that's subjective? Okay. Well, you seem like you turned out all right. You hide it well. C++ took a class and it was tough. Agreed, though. Learn that young. Yeah, because I mean, kids, are like sponges. So imagine teaching that to a kid. And I already see when I was still teaching, I saw the push to like teaching kids how to code. And here's these little games and programs that we can kind of encourage the middle schoolers to learn coding with. So it was interesting that there is a push to that. Yeah, it kind of sucks to not have people learning like classical, because there is something cool to classical majors. But like, okay, so the place I went to college at is supposedly dropping a bunch of its majors. So, and where I went to college, like, it's in the northern suburbs of New York City, and it was just like this school that felt very classic. It was just old school, and even the departments just had this old school vibe to it, and the way they taught. And the rooms were old, and they weren't teaching with smart boards, or maybe towards the end of when I was at school. Like it was just a very old school education, and some of the majors were like kind of old school with like art history and just okay, not that art history is, but you know what I mean. It was very classical. It's a very classical liberal arts type of education, and I have to say there is something very cool and traditional to that. It just seems like old school. It reminds me of I don't want to say Oxford. I'm not saying it was on an Oxford level, but like that style of schooling where you just learn this classical liberal arts type subjects. So I mean, there is kind of a charm to that. There is a nice, I think there was like a minor there called classics where you just studied the classics. So I think there is something nice about that. There is a good thing about that, but unfortunately, yeah, it is useless. If you do want to look for a job, um, that's not going to get you anywhere. So, in one sense, it is sad that they are dropping those majors, but you know, on the other hand, I mean, college is useless and a waste of money and it has turned into indoctrination. So, what does it matter at this point? So, yeah, I would personally be encouraging kids to learn this because, and it's weird because it's like, I'm so torn. I'm like, do I want to feed into this tech spiral happening in the world that we become more and more dependent on it? I don't know because kind of there's so many views about that, whether it's good or bad or whatever. But yeah, I do see the benefit to kids learning that because like I said, looking for some online remote work, um, I just feel unqualified for everything. It's wild. Like, like all this stuff that they require stuff like this and it's just it's wild. Yeah, so it's hard to break into those things when you just have like a science degree. Because people look, they're like, "Oh, you have a master's, you have a science degree." But yeah, those basically useless now when you're looking for a job. Nobody cares. With Linux, you can bring many old computers back to life. I know everybody talks about Linux. I was actually looking into somebody where somebody's like learn Linux systems, like be a systems operator, something for Linux, and they were suggesting that was something that people could get into entry level. And I'm like, Linux. I always hear Linux. I've heard of Linux for years. I should actually look into what Linux is. A solid state drive will bring any hard disk drive PC to life. So I mean the PC is working to life, but you mean like bring it into the future? And the cool thing is like the solid state drives are a lot cheaper than they used to be. Yeah, well, thank you because I did kind of go off topic with where I was planning to go, but I like this. I do. I like the direction we're going in. You studied computer science, but coding, it's tedious, to be honest. It does seem tedious. Like, even those basic programs that they used to teach the kids in school, I'm like, they're trying to make it fun, but I'm like, to do this all day over and over looks intense. It looks boring. But I guess they're indoctrinating the children into it. A fast PC is life. It saves a lot of time doing stuff in Web3. Yeah. And you know what? I'm learning that sometimes having newer tech or even like, okay, so I am streaming now from a MacBook Air that was like purchased in 2021 and it was like with that whatever M2 chip, whatever that new faster chip is. And sometimes I'm using this and I'm like, it's new, but I'm like, maybe Macs suck because think Brian, you don't like Macs. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm not impressed with the speed sometimes. I'm like, how do you get isn't because I always equated newness with speed, but with this Mac, and I'm happy with it. I like it. It does what I need to do for the basic stuff that I need to do it. But I am like, this has made me understand that okay, new does not always equate to speed. All those other nice specs on this does not always equate to it. Because I'm like, why is a newer laptop sometimes just, I don't know, being weird and slow? Doesn't do it a lot, but sometimes. But maybe I'm running too much on it. But I'm like, the specs that I got on this, it should be able to handle it. But yes, basically what I'm saying is that was a lesson for me. But I'm still glad I bought it. No, not Pace. Oh, the school that I went to? No, it wasn't Ivy League. I know it was ranked as one of the best schools in the country. And actually, it's still ranked that way. I don't know what number it is, but it's been, in US News has ranked it and stuff. But it was just, it wasn't, no, Jonathan Kozol called it an Ivy of the North because I guess it had a good reputation once upon a time. I don't like its reputation now. There's another problem with going to school. You pay for an excellent reputation, and then the reputation gets driven into the ground. It's still ranking high, but I'm not happy with the direction it went in. No, it was just very classic. It was still, I felt like hanging on to like the old ways of college. Yes, there was indoctrination. Yes, there was a bias to it, but it felt like a very classical education in certain liberal arts education in certain ways. Like, yeah, degrees are useless. And like, I joke about wanting to return a degree, but if I had to go somewhere, I'm happy I went to this school. You want to go back to college and retake art history. You can probably audit a class, right? And you don't actually have to go back. And there's so many free courses. I forget the names, like Course X or Coursera. I don't know how to say it. Where you can go and take art history courses for free. So I would look into that instead of having to drag back to a campus and pay all that money. And then go from there if you want to do something on a campus and learn some art history. I almost signed up for an art history class once, and then I was warned that it wouldn't click with me because I would get bored. So, and that person was right. I don't think it's a fit for me. But if you're into it, I would definitely check out those websites first and do some free things. Because basically, I don't believe in sending money to the colleges. Gosh, and you graduate and they like solicit you for donations. I'm like, what I paid wasn't enough. But yeah, Poison Ivy League, exactly. Graduated from Cornell and couldn't find a job for years. Was the degree useless? Or I heard, this is the thing I've also heard about Ivy League, is that it'll help you get your first job. But then after that, then it's just like your resume that gets you the jobs. Nobody pays attention to where you went to school. That's it. But yeah, I mean, I guess, you get to say you went to an Ivy League school, but for the most part, it's useless as every other degree. You only run Linux anymore. So I'm going to have to look into this Linux. I know I'm talking about it like it's a new thing. No, I've been aware and I've always been like, Linux. All right, whatever. In one ear and out the other, but I gotta look into it. Wait, when people do like the little Raspberry Pi, is that Linux? Oh, we doing a guessing game with the colleges? I'm not gonna answer. Don't get us started on chipsets. We'll be here all night. Yeah. Well, my eyes are gonna start glazing over if we talk too much technical about computers. Oh gosh, it totally is a scam. It really is. I mean, I went because to be a teacher in New York State, you needed your master's. So it was one of those things where like I had to do that. And also like even if it wasn't for that, I guess it was a requirement of my parents. It was before my parents knew better about college. They wanted their children, we had to have degrees. Yeah. But they understand now. They know better. There you go, YouTube University. You're taking data analytics on Coursera. It's only $38 a month. It's amazing. It really is amazing how the internet is opened up. Free education, but also discounted education. And I'm hoping at some point that leads to competitions with the colleges and universities so that they start lowering the tuition. Because yes, colleges and universities take a lot of money to operate, but not as much as what they're charging. They really are gouging. So I'm hoping the prevalence of learning online, will eventually lead to that price gouging ending a bit. Because if you want to go to school, I mean, at least we don't want you to get gouged. Okay, see, I don't know what these chips mean. So you sold the first AMD 64-bit CPU in America, but early and got in trouble for it. Oh, that's hilarious. So yeah, the computer stuff is just, in one ear and out the other for me. Anyway, but yeah, it's nice being back. It's nice being back and chatting with you guys. But wait, what happened? LOL. Okay. Yeah, higher education is dead. Definitely. It feels like, I think once upon a time it had its place, and now in certain instances it has its place, but then it's so polluted at the same time by the indoctrination, and it's like, how hard is it to just be able to teach fact and not your opinion? But okay, yeah. I mean, obviously it's not hard, just people don't want to. People put themselves in these positions because it's almost like a source of power, because they have the power to influence minds. And what's disturbing is you have teachers coming out of these institutions that are indoctrinated by their professors, and they go out into the schools and then indoctrinate the students, so it's the cycle, but that's also intentional. But oh my gosh, like yes, there was some indoctrination in the biology department, but the bulk of it came from my education courses. I hated my education courses because, like, so much of it wasn't practical stuff that you can use in the classroom. So much of it was just heavy indoctrination type things. It was ridiculous. My master's feels useless. I think I had 1 or 2 useful classes. You're a bunch of nerdy FOMO sapiens. No, it's all good. Have fun with the chatting back and forth. I just don't understand it. FOMO hex sapiens. There you go. Yeah, I missed you guys too. I really did. No, and it's like I said, it makes me happy to see the chat hopping and going. And so, but let me just, while you guys are discussing amongst yourselves, I'm just going to quickly check my notes because, gosh, there was so much that I wanted to touch on, but I'm like, maybe it has to just kind of go into, the concept of waking up and the mistake that the church is making by kind of ignoring and cherry picking the supernatural worldview. I guess that was mainly like what my notes were on. And we did touch on that, that the modern church is doing that disservice when it comes to the view of the supernatural. But, oh gosh, I don't even know where to start with this now. There's so much to talk about. And I'm like, do I want to go down a duck hole, or does like each topic here that I wrote in my notes need its own duck hole? I don't know. Oh yeah, indoctrination. So maybe I'll just save that for a different time. We'll do individual shows according to, because you know what? A lot of stuff, through kind of becoming awake to the evil in the world and the spiritual realm around us and its influence on us. Like, I always kind of had an idea about things. I believed in UFOs. I believed they were demonic, and but started realizing that it goes so much deeper than that. That there are factions of darkness that are, working with each other, fighting against each other. That it's not just demons and UFOs. That there's, where the Nephilim come into play and how the giants work with that, like that. And I believe they call it like the Genesis 6 something. I don't know, the Genesis 6 mystery. I forget what they call it, but basically, in Genesis 6, it talks about. So I'll finish that thought and then I'll come back to the live stream. But I just wanted to kind of summarize that. So in Genesis 6, it's okay. So Genesis 6:1, when human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were okay. I'm getting tongue tied. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. So when I used to read that, I was always kind of like stumped by it. I was like, okay, well, what is this? Sons of God, Nephilim. I've always had the view that the demonic were spiritual creatures, that they couldn't inhabit bodily form, but there's something happening here, that there's a crossover. Sounds like there's a hybridization happening. But, it was always kind of glossed over. Nobody could really answer questions like that in the church. But this year was the year for me where all of a sudden I heard perspectives on that clicked, perspectives that kind of locked in with the history that's told in the Book of Enoch. And then looking at everything through that lens, remember, I kind of talked a little bit about it with the antediluvian rabbit hole episode, but looking at everything through that lens is like when it was just mind blowing for me, where it just kind of opened my eyes to everything else going on. And everything made sense when put back into that Genesis 6 lens. So I guess that was where I was kind of going with that. But there's so much to talk about, because like through the exploration of that, I heard stories about like abductions, alien abductions, and I always just thought they were demonic experiences and not physical abductions. But then when you put it through the Genesis 6 lens and actual physical creatures on this earth, that are evil, that are dark-sided, you're like, these might actually be happening and they might be in league with humans in the military. Maybe abductions are real and like all of a sudden your mind is like kind of assimilating everything and kind of going wild. You're like, okay, this is insane, but it makes sense put in this perspective. Like I heard a woman, if you go to the Blurry Creatures, wow, Taken by Aliens episode, that was a mind-blowing episode. And she talked about her abduction experiences and she talked about Skinwalker Ranch and the fact that all of that activity happens because there's an underground base where they take the abductees there. They kind of fly into the mountain, I guess, there. And you get taken down into a base. And there's a whole base, and that's why everything goes weird on Skinwalker Ranch. So like I'd heard about deep underground military bases, never thought much about it, never cared to know much about it. But then looking at it through the lens with the Nephilim, it made sense. So that's basically what I'm saying is that has kind of been my journey through this year, and my eyes have been opened to so much. And for anybody who's a Christian, like a lot of this stuff is biblically backed. It's just the cherry picking that's going on in the church that won't allow you to kind of, or where it gets tossed aside, basically. I always, like I said, thought there was evil in the world, but that you had to seek it out. I didn't realize that it was everywhere. And, and it was a constant spiritual battle that you have to be vigilant to. So sorry if that seems random. I was just wanting to conclude my thought and conclude my notes from before, because like I said, I thought I was going to dive into this today, but I'm like, no, because everything I might say like leads into its own duck hole. I'm like, I can't. Yeah. Every topic here, I think deserves its own show, but at least there's a bunch of inspiration. But yeah, sorry, wrap that up. Let me hop back to the live chat. That was a fun catch-up intro. Yeah, now we can start the show. But now I'm like, you know what? This is like too much. It's too much, the topic that I wanted to talk about. But you know what? We should all go and watch the Unseen Realm documentary and then maybe come back and discuss, because that covers kind of what I wanted to talk about. So I'm like, I don't even know how to synthesize this and make this into a concise way. I like my cray-cray handwriting. But yeah, too many duck holes happening with this. FYI, in the back of some college textbooks, they list websites if you have questions, and they will link questions to videos or more info, so you can get the education for free with little effort. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if it's a new thing. I don't remember that when I was in college. I remember everything just feeling like it was behind a paywall in college, except like the library would have textbooks, and if you didn't want to buy the book, you can go sit in the library and use it while you're in the library. But I was a commuter, so I'm like, forget it. I'm out of here. Once class was over, I'm like, I'm not sitting in the library and using a book. I guess I should have just photocopied the book. UFOs are cool. It would be more boring without them, to be honest. Oh my gosh. Like, seriously, go to Blurry Creatures and listen to this. See, this mirror image always throws me off. Go to the Taken by Aliens episode. Yeah. Crazy. And I believe it. I totally believe what was said in that episode. I saw a big shooting star the other night. It was pretty wild. Lasted for several seconds. Oh, so here's the $1 million question. Was it a shooting star, or do you think it was something else? But I'm guessing it was shooting star, since you said shooting star. Have you seen where everybody has been posting the SpaceX launch and thinking that it's like something else, that it's UFO, but it's like, oh no, it's just SpaceX, but everybody's been seeing it at once, which is weird because in the Northeast, we've never seen, and I don't want to start a debate about flat Earth or space, but I'm just saying, in the Northeast, we've never seen shuttle launches from all the way from up here. But why are we seeing the SpaceX launch up here? I find that weird. Wow, that was amazing. I'm going to read Genesis now. Thank you, Ashley. Oh, I'm excited you're going to read it. Yeah, it's interesting because like it just unlocks, Genesis 6 unlocks so many things, and I feel like it answers so much to what's going on today. It's like, okay, some people believe that, well, it's your interpretation of it, but I just feel like it's pretty clear. It sounds like hybridization, and then once you start going into that duck hole, I mean, Then you're talking about giants and the spirits of the Nephilim, and I'm still exploring that. I'm still learning. I think Dr. Laura Sanger talks a lot about that, so I need to look into her work. You saw one last month. It was always awesome to catch one. Unfortunately, I'm reminded this guy from NASA talking about what happens when the toilet on the space station is full. Oh no. Do I want to know? I remember as a kid, it was like completely like, I was like, what? When I saw them show the vacuums that like suck up the pee on the space station, and like how weird those toilets look, and how the airflow works with the toilet so that the poop flows away from you and not into you. As a kid just being like, whoa, this is like, it never crossed my mind. And then they were like, I don't know, it was some kids program. But yeah. Okay, wait, but what happens? Now you got me curious. When the toilet on the space station is full, do they release it into space? And then does that become space junk? Like, does it become dangerous if it hits something? I'm guessing no. Oh, okay. Now I wanted to make sure I was caught up on all the comments. So, okay, so the live chat has slowed down. We're almost an hour and a half in, so maybe we should all start heading out. I don't know, but yeah, but definitely come back next week. For My Life is Awesome. Lit and I will be discussing a topic. We're gonna be talking some ancient culture stuff, specifically a topic that I've been fascinated by. So I'm really excited to be able to discuss it with somebody who's more knowledgeable on it than I am. Because really, we know our history has been rewritten, and then we're not told the whole story of the history of the earth. So when you start looking into these civilizations and what's hidden, what the Smithsonian has done, I mean, how can you ever trust any of these organizations again? Like, you know what they say about Smithsonian? Anytime there's been any type of evidence found, when there's been giant's bones found, the Smithsonian just swoops in, takes it away, and like steals it all. Okay, why are they doing research on it? Do they want it? They obviously don't want us to know, because I mean, if they were cool with us knowing, they would put this type of stuff on display, right? Why not bring more people to the museum, make some more money for the museum, and teach people? But no, they take this stuff, like whenever anybody reports, giant bones, for example, Smithsonian comes in, takes them. You never see them again. They never put them on display, and you never hear anything about them. Why is that? Okay, there's a million answers to that question, but man, none of these government organizations are that trustworthy. I think the concept of America had some amazing ideas and was founded on some really cool principles back in the day, but I do not believe we live in the same America. I feel like this is like a zombie America. Like America died and this is like some sort of counterfeit. So I'm like, this is not the same one from the founding. It's very devious. Everything, I don't know. Because the Smithsonian is a government organization, right? I don't know. Am I going down incorrect rabbit hole? You've been downloading books. Oh, cool. You just got The Unseen Realm. I am curious to know what you think of it. I haven't started it yet, but like just skimming it, I'm like, oh, this looks good. And Blurry Creatures has a ladies' book club that is discussing that online. So, and I think he's written a few books like this. So I don't agree with some of his views about like ghosts and stuff, but I think he's something piqued my interest in the Amazon reviews about this. They're like, so somebody said something interesting, that he's really onto something and that he might have really cracked something. But like, they're like, I don't even think he realizes to the extent of what, that he has kind of answered things and cracked things. Like, I don't know. Does that make sense? You just got to read the Amazon reviews on it. Very intrigued. Oh, well, thanks for being here, Russ. Have a good night. So you're a bit allergic to reading fiction books, as you've experienced being forced to read War and Peace and the Gulag archipelago. I always butcher that word. I just stick to reading stuff online and preferably useful info. Okay, so are you talking from being forced to read in school? Because I am convinced that being forced to read is what turns kids off from reading, and that's why you have like, okay, besides like the tablet generation, that's why you have like kids that seem so illiterate. Um, and I remember when I was in school, they would make when I was in Catholic school, they would go around the room and make everybody, read a part of a uh I don't know, a paragraph, right, from whatever we were reading. And everybody would, read in a pretty similar way, would read pretty fluently, would, I I don't know. I don't know what they call it in literacy, but they for the most part everybody read pretty well. But there was a few kids that by the time it came to them, they really struggled. Like honestly, these kids probably had learning disabilities and shouldn't have been in Catholic school because Catholic school didn't have the proper support for them. But where the kid was, really reading like the dog, kid completely struggled, right? And I forgot where I was going with this. I can't. My brain just like completely turned off. Oh my gosh. And I promised it was going somewhere where I was talking about reading and kids being forced to and kids being turned off from it. Oh, yes. So now I remember where I'm going with this. I'm not that much older than the kids now, but at that time, kids of that age we were able to read fluently at our level, at our age level, and some of us reading above it. I feel like, and when I was teaching, I felt like I didn't see that anymore. The kids just felt like, and this was a really good district. Kids felt like they were reading at a level like far below where they were at, or where they should be at. And even like the writing, like I would look at kids writing and it would look like an elementary schooler wrote it. And these were high schoolers. And when I was in high school, yeah, kids might have had messy writing, but they didn't look like they were writing like an elementary schooler. You know how like an elementary schooler just like, it's not just messy, but it looks like kid handwriting. Like I was like really shocked that high schoolers were writing and they looked like elementary school writing. And I guess that comes from the fact that they're typing everything out, but also like the reading, the lack of fluency in the reading, I think comes from, yes, being on tablets all the time, being on computers, reading short bursts of information. But I feel like so much of that damage comes from like the schools turning off the kids from reading. When you're forcing kids too much to read things that they're not interested, that they don't want to, then they will just shut down and they won't read on their own at all. They lose that love for reading. And once you lose the love for reading, then you start falling behind. You start losing that fluency. So basically what I'm trying to say is the way schools teach reading turns kids off from it. And unfortunately, and I'm not talking you, Hex Huddle. I'm not talking about your reading fluency. I'm talking about now the current kids are like reading well below their level. And it's disturbing. And I think it's intentional because you know what? Kids can't read script. If kids aren't interested in reading, then they're going to turn into, or kids can't comprehend what they're reading or just are lacking some fluency in reading, then you know what? They're not going to go look and read documents for themselves, government documents or historical documents, so it's like an intentional dumbing down of the population. What you're talking about here, I had that same issue where there was a long time I was not reading. I stopped reading because I wanted to read what I wanted to read. I didn't want the school to read. I don't want to read what the school told me to. And so I would not do my homework. I would slack. I would ignore it and not read what they wanted me to in school. I would just be reading whatever I wanted to. And then my mom would be like, well, if you're going to read, why don't you read what you're supposed to for school instead of just reading, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, whatever I was reading as a kid. And then I was like, well, then I'll read nothing, and for years, I didn't read anything. I wouldn't read the books they assigned to me. And I wouldn't read. I lost my interest in reading. And so the way the schools push reading, that just creates a problem. They suck the joy out of it so that you don't want to read fiction anymore. That's so that people, I don't know, people aren't into it. It took me, I think, until college to start reading again. And I just finished the entire Harry Potter series now as an adult. I didn't read it as a kid. Karen B would be a cool guest on this show, my opinion. Who is Karen B? I'm drawing a blank. The theory of evolution, the theory of gravity, and the theory of the Big Bang is indoctrination. What's worse is the regurgitation of these theories is actual science. And here's the thing, I'm like, we know nothing, and science is constantly always changing, right? So the fact that they teach science that is so, I feel like there isn't an emphasis on the fact that we don't know and that things always change. It's like, this is what it is. And if you question it, you're wrong. No, you're supposed to question science. That's how things change. That's how things advance. But there is this indoctrination that you cannot question things. And I find one of the big ones also tends to be the views of climate change. Climate is cyclical, but and you could find the data to support it and back it up, but you cannot say that in college, right? You got to pretend like it's like that it's anthropogenic, that it's human induced climate change. You cannot acknowledge the fact that there are cycles. They've gone through really cold periods in like the 1700s, like to the extreme where things were still frozen in summer. And we've had the opposite too, but you can't acknowledge that. You cannot acknowledge that we go in cycles, because you want to know why? Because anthropogenic climate change is a moneymaker. But yeah, totally. Yeah. So the biology departments, they indoctrinate too. Every department finds a way to do it. Yeah, back in our school, we didn't have any choice but to take everything they gave us. Yeah. And it sucks. That's why I like the choices in homeschooling and unschooling. Okay, yes, those scholastic book fairs were fun. They were. Sorry, you just caught up the Nephilim. Is it Nephilim? Nephilim, I hear pronounced so many different ways. Duck Hole is so intriguing. So many interesting connections in the Bible start with David and Goliath and track backwards from there. And what I love about it is, like, let's say the story of David and Goliath, that historical account that's happening there. It's just like, yeah, like he was a giant. Like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, look at this crazy thing that happened in this freak of nature and he happened to be a giant. It was like, no, it was accepted. Yep, he was a giant, because like everybody knew that giants existed back then. And there's the belief that they kind of still exist to this day. Blurry Creatures was talking about the red-haired giants in Afghanistan. I have not looked into it yet, but I've heard that there's been evidence, found for giants today. In this members only episode that I was telling you about, taken by the Nephilim, talks about these giant men abducting people into trafficking too. So it really is a wild duck hole. And yeah, like that's the thing, like that cracks me up in the Bible. David and Goliath, yep, like it was a normal thing that he would encounter a giant. You get where I'm going with that? Oh yeah, the kids read real slow and the teacher would sit and watch, like, what are you doing? Yeah, that's what, and I think things like that too, just like kind of destroyed kids' love for reading, like you got to humiliate them in front of the entire class. It was terrible. Keyboards definitely killed handwriting. Yeah. Keep chatting stuff to discuss so that you will keep having to talk. Well, thank you for liking me talking and not being like, somebody shut this girl up. Oh, yeah, no worries. I got what you meant. Oh, truly, there is 100% an agenda to dumb down America. To dumb down the world to an extent, but specifically it's happening here because I think there's some really dark forces at play in the United States. And okay, there's darkness throughout the whole world, and there's different levels and different kinds of darkness throughout the world, but man, there's something going on here. Carpal tunnel from writing with the pen is probably more likely than typing, though. Or not. I'm not a hexpert. I don't know. I've never met anybody who's gotten carpal tunnel from a pen. It's always been from typing. And I know, is it because nobody writes with the pen anymore? But even in the days where everybody was like writing a lot, because I don't remember like kids or adults, because I went to a Catholic school that did not use a lot of tech, and everything was by hand, even the teacher stuff. And I don't remember anybody ever like having a hand cramping issue, because I felt like it was something your hand eventually adjusted to. Now the kids might start having issues with maybe because they're not used to it. Maybe it's just whatever you get used to doing then you're less likely to, I don't know. I just went in a circle on that, didn't I? You tried to write in script today. Totally gone. You can't remember how? Teach it to yourself. It's important. Can you read script though? Might be more important to read script. Just put all books in a tweet format. Oh, like we should make a thread? That's a good idea. Loved Mice and Men. I do remember that. Harry Potter, good taste. Oh, Mice and Men. I think that was one of the few books that I did read, or maybe I like left a few. I feel like I left a few pages out of that. I don't know. I was kind of all over the place when I would read things, but I think I might have actually had read that or some of it because it actually seemed pretty good. But yeah, oh my gosh, Harry Potter. I'm like, I want a few more books. Why did it have to end at 7? But I understand. You get impatient and try to write too quickly. Chicken scratch. You need to slow down. But if you write in script, it comes out faster. That's what I've learned. That's why I used to write in script for so many years. How long did it take in my favorite book? Oh, for Harry Potter, it took me 3 years. I know, to read 7 books. It sounds bad because I didn't want to read them all at once. I wanted to kind of savor it. So I read like 2 books the first summer I started reading it. Then a book and a half the next summer, or 2 books. So oh no, I don't know, something like that. 2 books one year, 2 books the next year, and 3 books, the year after that, or something. Or 2.5 one year, 2.5 the other, something like that. So it took me 3 years because I kind of like I wanted to savor it. And my favorite book, I do not know what my favorite book is. I did like the Deathly Hallows, but like, oh, I did really like the Deathly Hallows, but I feel like the camping part where it felt like nothing was happening kind of did go on for too long. Oh, but I really did like Prisoner of Azkaban. It's hard. It's really hard to tell. I have to go watch the movies now. I don't know. And I don't hate J.K. Rowling. Everybody like doesn't want to admit liking, Harry Potter because of J.K. Rowling. I'm like, you know what? Her opinion is her own business. Who cares? She wrote some good books and I will read them and I will say that I like them. Reading is possibly one of the slowest ways to consume information. I'm sorry, guys. I'm like really behind on this. Consume information. Books have lots of fillers, making the book thicker. I read The Hobbit and I've seen the films. Same stuff too much even. You know what I've started doing also? Audiobooks. And then I could kick it up to, sometimes I can't handle 2x. But I kick it up to like 1.5 speed and just consume it faster. So that way it's like double duty. I'm driving to a job. I'm doing something, I don't know, driving upstate and absorbing a book at the same time. We had a good reading program in grade school. You can earn credits and order stuff through the mail, not just more books, toys, and games. I think it's a fun way to encourage that. They used to have the ice cream club when I was in 4th grade. Oh, this is funny. Which, okay, you would get different prizes, like I guess every maybe 10 books that you read. And then once you hit like 40 or 50 or something, the teacher would take you out to get ice cream. I was thinking, that doesn't sound like a good reward. That just sounds awkward, having to go to Friendlies with the teacher and get ice cream. And I guess at that time period, people didn't like think that was shady to go get ice cream with the teacher. But yeah. And then it was Catholic school, which you always felt like you were always like reprimanded or in trouble for something. So like early on, my mom had thrown away the log before I could log anything, any of the books. So, and I was too afraid to ask the teacher for a new log. So as far as the teacher knows, I never, I probably looked like this jerk who refused to participate. I never participated that year because I was too afraid to ask the teacher for a new log because that's Catholic school. I've heard that reading is bad for your eyes, but so is the computer screen. Isn't everything bad for everything though? I think if you put the book in the proper position and have the right lighting, it's supposed to be not bad for your eyes. I heard a lot of it has to do with lighting. I was going to read, but this is way more interesting. When aliens. I know. Somebody I do want to get on to talk about aliens. Gotta talk to her about that. See if she's game. I don't think she will be, but let's see. Used a CRT display for like all the 90s into 2000s before you got an LCD. I think I got my first LCD in 2005, I think. Um, YouTube algorithms like engagement, maybe shill my streams. Where should I shill the streams? Because I mean, I posted it on Twitter. More dudes watching may result in more super chats. I'm just saying next target 1.5 to 2,000. The channel did grow pretty rapidly initially, and then it just hit this plateau. And I'm thinking I must have said something that triggered the algorithm that the algorithm didn't like something. Because we know that big brother is watching and punishing. Sorry guys, I'm catching up. You've never read a Bible, is that bad? It's not bad, to each their own. I like reading it. You know how I like to read it? It's gonna sound silly, but this is what helps me absorb it best. I like to read a chapter at a time and, like, really kinda and what I do is I go on the Bible app, and I read the chapter, and I turn on the audiobook at the same time. So, like, I'm hearing it read, and I'm reading along, and that helps me absorb it way better. It's amazing. I don't know. I don't know if that sounds like my reading comprehension is off, but for no, I mean, I can comprehend other reading, but I guess for the Bible, because I really wanna, like, hyper focus, that's what works for me. Um Oh, write books as tweets for kids. Will read it easier. I know somebody who actually wrote an entire book through tweets. I think it's called the Putin Pals. And this was before, like, years before the Russia stuff. Um, Something is up with the internet throughout the country for some reason. Something is up. Oh, this is interesting. Now, Tomas, are you talking in the United States or are you talking in a different country? Because I was in a class last night and everybody kept getting booted in and out of the Zoom. It was wild and just having never seen that before. People having major internet issues, I think. And most Catholics have never read the Bible. I have heard that. I have heard that the Catholics are less likely to because, like, there's an attitude and I don't want to anger any Catholics, forgive me, but I've heard in general from former Catholics that there's, like, this attitude of, like, you don't have to, we'll read it and interpret it for you. We'll handle it. Which, no, you got to read it. You got to read it yourself. Picture books to my speed. Picture books are always fun. You're not Catholic, rather Orthodox, if anything. I do like the Orthodox Church. I'm very intrigued by it. What's really high strangeness is our reality in America today. Seems like everything is upside down and ass backwards and opposite of common sense. Talk about cognitive dissonance. Shoot, yeah. Oh my gosh. Nothing makes sense anymore, but the people don't make sense. Everybody seems like incapable and incoherent and weird. People just seem weird. People do not see in themselves. Something messed with people's heads, and yeah, there's no common sense, but I can't tolerate people, a lot of people anymore, because people, yeah, like people we know, like my friends and family we know, I don't know, have just shifted and changed and just have become, like, not logical and just weird and kind of crazy. I don't know, something's happening. Reading A Mice and Men and watching Gattaca were two of the only things that I appreciated studying in high school. Okay, Gattaca, that's pretty cool that they showed that in high school because I almost showed it to one of my bio classes once. I did use X-Files to teach bioethics once. X-Files Fight the Future. That was fun. The Half-Blood Prince. I need to watch the movies. I really do. I have all of them. I just need to watch them. Do aliens read books? Why did they abduct people and not reading books? You know what? You're right. Maybe if they read books, they would leave people's anuses alone and stop probing them. Audiobook in a car is background noise while cooking or something. Yeah. Except, like, I really like to focus, like, just like I'm reading and not use it as background noise. But and there's apps, Libby and stuff. There's all these different, you have to see what your local library uses, but even, like, you can access, like, I think the New York City Public Library, you can get a library card even if you're outside of New York and then get access to their audiobooks. There's, like, a ton of ways to do it, but I find it really, really great way to increase the amount of books that I read and to read them faster. Let's see. No, I didn't go to Catholic high school. I went from 2nd to 8th, I went to Catholic school, and then I went to a public high school. Oh, you're funny. Okay. Yeah. No, yep, they don't like us. And probably just all of us chatting together. Too many people searching for the truth and speaking correct things in the chat and here, man. Yeah, YouTube is probably not too happy. Well, thank you for saying that, Brian. Yeah, I think, even people who aren't Christian do like to read it because I think it offers some interesting perspectives, and even if you don't believe it, it's an interesting historical perspective too, I think. USA, yeah. So something weird is up with the internet. Just everything. Our supply chain is off, our internet's off. Sometimes the cell phones I find weird. Like I don't know, the connections on the cell. I don't know. Everything is, but yeah, last night somebody really had some major internet trouble, which, yeah, I hadn't seen that before. Usually nobody has that issue in class. It's usually something else, batteries, whatever it may be. 2,000 trolls to 20 friends, right? Yeah, it can go either way. Oh yeah, I would not be surprised. Sorry, catching up. Oh, the shift from Catholic school to public school? It was fine. It was exciting. Because I started out in public school, then got put into a Catholic school because we were living in one of the cities in Westchester. Because even though Westchester is a suburb of New York City, Westchester is sprinkled with all these other little cities that can be pretty large throughout it. So, and parents didn't want us in like a bigger city school. They wanted something small, so they put us in Catholic school, and then we moved to a town that had a little town, like 20,000 people in 3 square miles is what we call a little town here. And then went to public school there. But it was interesting because a lot of people like to think that, parochial schools are behind and that you'll struggle when you go to public school. But I found it was weird. Like, okay, there were some things, maybe some gaps, like, okay, we didn't have honors classes in Catholic school. So I missed out on that coming into high school because it was like, okay, those kids who were in honors classes in high schools, they started the honors classes in middle school and then kind of carried it into high school. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't put you in honors, even if your grades are good enough to go into an honors class, because I wasn't part of that. So kind of like you miss out on certain programming, you miss out on in the middle school where I in the school district where I was going to high school, they got to take high school credits in middle school. So, I missed out on a few things. So that was like kind of a bummer. But I'm glad I went to Catholic school because it was kind of like advanced in other ways. Like in English class, remember they were asking certain things about grammar, or even asking kids what an adjective was. And like nobody could answer that. And the teachers were so amazed that like I knew all this stuff. No, because Catholic school, they just focus on teaching you proper grammar and understanding grammar. And I remember diagramming sentences in Catholic schools. I'm sure that this school district, the kids weren't diagramming sentences in elementary school. So I found that public school was lacking in certain ways into more classical aspects of education, because that Catholic school is also more classical in the way they taught. But then what I really struggled with, the biggest shock, was the way they wanted you to write an essay. So when we did essays and research papers in Catholic school, it was more, again, traditional ways of just composition and lit writing and research. So when I got to public school, it was so shocked because there was this very specific standard format that they wanted of essay writing, which I now understand that they wanted it that way because it was teaching to the test. It was teaching to pass the state test. And I was kind of like stumped by it, like, because I had never been taught by it, and everybody seemed to know that proper way. Yet, like I said, it was the teaching to the test thing, and they didn't have to teach like that in Catholic school. So though that was the main thing, academically, socially, I found Catholic school kids aren't always nice. Everybody hates each other. Everybody was nasty to each other at my Catholic school. So it was nice to go to high school and everybody just like didn't care. Nobody bothered each other. So I think that was the biggest thing that I liked the most. But I did miss my uniform. It was nice to not worry about what you were wearing and just wear a uniform to school. Yeah, sometimes I feel like some people are already talking fast. So if I double the speed, then it's like you can't even handle it. But like the 13th planet, I found I was able to do in 2x speed. I think because the guy already spoke slow. I just can't get into it, man. I can't. But I mean, it's cool that you guys are into it. But like, I don't know. I can't buy into his stuff yet. Or at all. But you know. Props to you guys. The best experience is when more of your sensors are involved and your output affects it, like flying in a simulator in VR. And you can have the audiobook playing or music or a stream. Oh, with more of your senses are involved. Gotcha. Well, you know what? It's interesting because I think when they've done brain studies that the similar areas of the brain are triggered for when you're reading a book versus when you're listening to a book. So I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Do you know if I enter the US from another country, we're required to be vaxxed or just have a negative COVID test only? Oh my gosh. I can't stand that the US is doing this, but this is what I've heard. Supposedly, supposedly there's still a vax requirement to get into this country. Absolutely ridiculous. But I've heard that like, we have different departments that are on two different pages. One department says, I don't know, Department of Health, CDC, whatever, says you don't need it to come in, and another one says you need it to come in. Now don't take this as like, but this is the chatter I've heard. So I've heard some people have just taken the gamble if they're unvaxxed and have flown into the US anyway and just saw what, just to see what happened. Like, can I still get through? Can I, depending on, I guess, how strict the people that are admitting you are and what guideline they're following. If they're following this guideline that says that, or if they're following another. Because I've heard that some people have been able to bypass that, to get through that requirement by just showing up, But I think technically the big rule that they're saying, that they're advertising, that you have to be vaxxed to get in. So so stupid, ridiculous. Everything's ridiculous. Nothing makes sense. Oh, good for you. We got a lot to say about those tests. I mean, that's like ethylene something. That's a carcinogen that they put on those test swabs, ethylene oxide. Look up ethylene oxide. That's carcinogenic, and that's on the swabs. And it's not BS. I guess they try to claim that, I don't know if it picks up the virus better so you can put it in the serum. But no. Yeah. There's something off about the testing. Also, early on in the pandemic, I was telling people, I'm like, the PCR test, they're stealing your DNA. Guess what they ended up finding? That the PCR test, they were selling your DNA. They were selling DNA information. So of course, they're making the money off of your PCR test. And then they made more money by selling your genetic information. Some of these companies, it wasn't all the PCR companies, but there was one. You look it up. I'm not making this up. You can find it. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I hated diagramming sentences. I really did. I must have been absent the day they taught it because I never knew how to do it. And, being intimidated by those teachers in Catholic school, I never had the nerve to ask, wait, can you please explain this to me? So I kind of always just made up stuff as I did it. I wish I had learned. I guess I can go YouTube University. I can go learn it for free. Stepanak. I hear a lot of people say that about Stepanak. Yeah, but I did tell you guys, I did student teach there. And then I got hey babied by a student, and that was awkward. Yeah, that was strange being a grad student who's not that much older than the kids in an all-boys school. Mhm. The first Bible translated to English by William Tyndale in 1536 is Flat Earth and 2 Samuel 11:11. So yes, it is important to read the Bible because there's over 200 verses that the earth is flat. Um I won't debate it, but I've seen some of those verses, and I don't want to get to a debate right now, but like when it says the four corners of the earth, I think some things are just like a figure of speech. But okay, but like I've always said in the past, I don't think the shape of the earth matters. I think it's like a psyop to get us all fighting and be distracted. Y- People want to say because it proves God or this, and they want me to agree with it. I'm not saying you, just other people. Um, Personally, I know the government lies to us, and I believe in God, so I don't need the flat Earth to teach me that. And I don't. I really think flat Earth is a psyop to get us, fighting and distracted about that, so that we're not paying attention to what's going on. So really, at the end of it, I'm not really bothered by what shape the Earth is. I don't want it to distract us from, look this way while we do this, that type of thing. Is that some vodka? Wawa, zero water. Okay, yeah, I was confused. I thought you meant senses. You love my accent. Reminds me of Fran Drescher on The Nanny. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. I don't feel that pretty tonight on these legs. I feel a little rough. I guess I haven't slept too much these past few weeks. But thank you. Um, except less nasal than Fran Fine on The Nanny. I don't think Fran Drescher talks nasal, but Fran Fine did. But I love that show. Oh, they aren't? Okay, I was wondering about that. Oh, gosh, yeah, that narrative. Oh, no. Wait, did I? Yes. Okay, yes. I think my mom had sent it to me. Somebody, yeah. I did see that trailer. Oof. But of course, I don't know. None of this is ever gonna everything is so suppressed and it's just gonna continue to be suppressed. I don't have any hope that anything is gonna get out, that anything is gonna change. But maybe I'm just being a pessimist. Then our political crazies down here in Australia. Uh, I mean, okay, we might not have been on as tight as the lockdowns were in Australia, but in terms of this, unfortunately, they our government has been really strange about this. But America's always been in the pocket of big pharma, so I guess it's appropriate. Yeah, but unfortunately, they're still weird about it. Oh, well, thank you for coming, ZZ Tesco. Thank you for being here. Don't recall you having worn those sunglasses. Put them on a second for us. Oh no, I don't wear sunglasses. Okay. I'm like, they look dirty. Because I touched them. But yeah, I use them in my hair. I use it as a prop in my hair. Why can't you see Michael Park's comments in the chat? Oh, that's weird. I don't know. We haven't changed anything. Is that just YouTube being weird again? It's strange. We haven't changed anything. I mean, meaning nobody's blocked or anything. Did you hear about the new Antichrist Yanuka guy? Heard he's performed like 4 miracles so far. No, I haven't. Now I'm gonna look him up after this ends. Okay. Thank you for this piece of advice. So if you guys aren't seeing comments that I'm putting on here, that I'm projecting up onto the screen, so in your live chat, change it from top chat to live chat for every stream, as YouTube censors it by default. Did not know that. I know you have to have hope, but with this, everything's just so entrenched and covered up. I mean, I feel like nobody wants to admit they were wrong. We're wrong. Okay, the people who are wrong don't want to admit they were wrong. The people who were being nefarious don't want to be revealed. And unfortunately, I feel like all these people are really powerful, and everything is gonna get. I don't know. It's just That's me. I have hope in other areas. Mm. Thing is, I feel like forced organ harvesting was always happening over there, but I guess this makes it an easier way for that to happen. And I know some people would think that's far fetched, but with that country, I don't know if that's one of the trigger words on the censors. You can't put it past them. Like the bodies exhibit, those I think were people that were enslaved over there in that country. You guys remember the bodies exhibit? Um, so I don't think those people gave permission to be, for their cadavers to be used. And then you don't know if they were murdered by the government, but supposedly they were like political prisoners or some sort of slaves or something. And now they're put on display and traveled all over the world. So like honestly, any type of atrocity by that country, I don't doubt. You're right. This gives them an easier way to do that. He washed his sunglasses before wearing, but supposed to wipe with cloth and stuff they came with, but too lazy. See, I don't wear sunglasses at all, so that's why I kind of just clean them with my shirt so that they look presentable, but I never actually put them over my eyes. So I believe that your eyes are sensors for your bodies. See that you shouldn't be blocking out the sun. Holistic health is kind of a view. What's that? Oh, that was my chair. I got creeped out for a moment. The holistic view that it lets your body know. So first of all, I don't really believe in sunblock unless you're somewhere close to the equator or you're going to be really out in the sun all day at the beach all day. But the sun is healthy. The sun is a cancer preventative. It's an immune booster. It does a lot of different things. Now, you would think that the feeling on your skin is what would tell you to get out of the sun, but they actually say it's the light coming in through your eyes triggers something in your body to let you know when you need to get in or out of the sun, and that's how you avoid burning. So, you can see me. I'm pretty fair, but I don't wear sunglasses and I don't burn. So I guess my sensors are working, So yeah. Oh, thank you. I love you too. I love all you guys too. Thank you for being here, YouTube. It's a lucrative business in China, man. It's a dark place. Yes, that was it. I thought they had changed it already, but I must not have. All good. That's one conspiracy debunked. Oh, the live chat. I thought you meant the bodies exhibit. Oh no, wait. What are we talking about now? Oh, okay, the chat, right? Okay. You always wear it at daytime outside, not the cheap plastic ones. Got to protect your eyes. You know what? I know, to a certain extent, it's good to protect your eyes, but I am convinced that there are a lot of health benefits of light coming in through your eyes, and the reason they push sunglasses is because of all the good health effects. So that they want to kill us, they want to poison us, they want us to be unhealthy. So I believe that's why they push. But that's one of those holistic health conspiracies. So I have a beautiful sunglasses my sister got me, Chanel. So with a certain outfit it works, but but for the most part, for me, sunglasses are just a hair accessory. You swapped from contact lenses to glasses, and it's a pain how you can't wear sunglasses now with normal glasses on. You can just do though like the old people, right? Don't they put those giant blocky looking sunglasses over the glasses? You can always just do like an old person does. Oh, okay. You're blue-eyed. You're one of those people with the sensitive eyes. I understand now. Huh. But you can do the PC screen. PC screen is probably worse for your health than and the sun is. But I understand it's a sensitivity issue. Do I ever go barefoot and ground myself to the earth for a little time every day? No. I am aware of the health benefits with that, but I'm just bad about that. But when I remember it, I do try to do that. But I also live in a really densely populated area, and I've heard that sometimes, unfortunately, you don't get those grounding benefits as much because besides, the air being polluted with EMFs, the ground is also kind of polluted. So I guess we are unfortunately potentially lacking the benefits of grounding here. But I'm sure even a little bit helps. But there's also a view that when you're that polluted with EMFs, even in the ground, because you're living in a densely populated area, then you could be absorbing more into your body than you should be. But otherwise, if you're in a place that's not, contaminated with EMFs, I heard this is so good and so healthy to do. Oh, and the best grounding, I think, happens at the beach. Sunglasses are absolutely bad for your eyes. A lot of the vitamin D benefits from the sun comes through your eyes. Yeah, you see, that's why that's why they push sunglasses so much, because they want us to be unhealthy, fat, sick, and nearly dead. Is that how the saying goes? Driving and can't see. Okay. But I get it. So some of you guys are saying you have sensitivities, Hex Hoddle and YouTube. You're too. But I wonder if that's because okay, yes, Hex Hoddle, you're blue-eyed, and I have heard that blue-eyed people are more sensitive to the sunlight. But I wonder if there's a way to kind of acclimate yourself to it so that you can work your way up and reap all those benefits. I hope that's a joke. I hope the Centrum is a joke. So what is that, like a sugar pill? Like a Flintstones vitamin. Follow Wallytron on YouTube. He's on top of the Jesus guy. All the top rabbis are totally shocked. Oh, I really have to look this up. Thank you. Oh, that's interesting. Eye exercises daily keep your eyes young. I used to have or I still have it somewhere. I haven't played it in a while. It was a DS game called Flash Focus, and it was full of eye exercises, and it was such a great concept to put that onto the Nintendo DS. But even my chiropractor was talking about how the same thing, or how there's certain ways to she was talking, I think, about the positioning of where, let's say you position a laptop so that your eyes do get the exercise of looking down in a certain way, or the left or right. I don't know. That's a tangent now I'm going on. Yeah, those exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Old people sunglasses. Get grounding sheets. Grounded while you sleep is great. Is that are those the same ones? Because I've seen some grounding sheets where you have the wire that goes out the window and actually grounds you to the ground. But then that's where I had heard the warning about if you're in a densely populated area with a lot of EMFs, then that can actually do more harm than good. It's pretty populated where I live. You don't believe you can acclimate yourself to it. Because I'm convinced that I could be in bright sun and not be too bothered by it because I never let myself get used to sunglasses. So that's why I thought maybe it could work the other way. You exercise your eyes. There you go. Old people, they're the coolest sunglasses ever. You know which sunglasses I think are pretty cool? I mean, they wouldn't fit over regular glasses. You know those V from 1983? Those V sunglasses from that the visitors wear? Oh, it's the wall they plug into? I've seen one type that actually goes outside directly into the ground. Yeah. Well, I'm getting sleepy. I'm fading. Oh, and our clocks go, fall back. So we lose an hour tonight, or do we gain an hour? Ooh, I don't remember. Oh, so we gained an hour tonight. Okay. Because I was like, the clocks are changing and I gotta work early. But okay, extra hour would be nice. Like the ones Rags wears. I know he wears big sunglasses. I can't remember exactly what they look like. Is he wearing pit viper type glasses? some grounding sheets come with the tester for your outlet. Oh, okay. Because I wonder, because what if you're not getting great grounding from your outlet, so you can test it? Let me show you something interesting I got here. Speaking of, this has got copper in it to kind of, it's supposed to be like a little, I think they call it like an EMF buster or something. It's supposed to help with the EMFs. I haven't tested it, but I think it's got like orgonite in it. I don't know. I mean, because I'm not into the whole crystal thing. I don't buy into that. But supposedly that crystal does have that EMF property. Maybe it's because of everything it's mixed with. Oh, see, can you tell I'm getting tired? It's mixed with copper. I didn't sleep much last night. No, it's okay. I don't mind bouncing back and forth when the sunglasses talk. Yeah, they are, because everybody's got different perspectives on it. Oh, now I want to show you my pretty sunglasses. Hold on, let me get my pretty ones. Hold on. See, I'm all excited about this because where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay. So it's hilarious. Me and my sister are a little different. We chose different paths to our life. I do not like working at a desk. I like working for myself. I like doing my own thing. I don't like being tied to certain things. And she does work the desk job. She likes that financial security and everything. So, we made different choices. Maybe I'm more into the fact that I want to act, I'm studying acting, and that comes with its whole like financial insecurity and everything. And she works in finance and has this job at this prestigious place and everything. So we're both very different. And that's her financial security and she feels good about that. Me, I'm currently overdrafted like $50 and did they stop overdraft fees? Because my bank has not feed me yet. But anyway, so the point is, so we're very different, but you know what? I'm cool with it. She's always like, how can you be like, oh my gosh, I would be panicked. How can you handle the fact that you have $1 in the bank? So I'm like, because I'm fine, and not to make myself sound all sad and pathetic. No, you know what? I don't mind this instability because I get to live my life the way I want it. I work the way I want it. But yes, I am trying to find remote work. But the point of this is, so we're very different. So when it came to my birthday last year, so my sister, because she works in this prestigious financial firm, she'll drop big money on things. And so it cracks me up because I really do love these sunglasses. She bought one for my mother and I loved it from the moment I saw it. So my sister, she bought me like this Chanel, in this pretty box, So these gorgeous Chanel sunglasses. That I thought, yeah. So look, I do have a pretty pair of sunglasses. I just don't, so this is like for when I have a pretty outfit that it has to go in and everything. But it's kept safe in its box. Yeah. So this is my pair. If I were to wear it, it would just be for the look, for the style of it. But look how nice it is. So yeah, so that whole long story is me and my sister are very different. We live our life in different ways. I am fly by the seat of my pants. I don't want to be told what to do. I'm not going to sit at a desk. I love acting. I'm going to do this, and she's like, working at this firm and they sent her like home with those office phones so she could work at home and she has like that whole office phone set up at home, whatever. So yeah, so my sister bought me these, my fancy sister. So I wanted to show you my cute little thing. But we are very, very different sisters. When she got married, I wrote about, I said that in my bridesmaid speech. It was funny. Pointed out our differences. Yeah, we both couldn't live the way that the other one does. I think I would die if I had to work at a desk. No offense to you people that do work at desk. I can't. That's why people are like shocked, when I work certain jobs and then they find out that I have more than one degree. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, there's no such thing as like a job being below you. Like I'll have multiple degrees in work in a restaurant. I've done it before. Who cares? Education means nothing. It's bullshit. And then look, my sister doesn't have a master's and then she got this prestigious job. So it's all BS. I don't know if you're serious or not, but I won't ruin it. I'm not going to say anything about it. I do believe there's spiritual doorways that happen with crystals, but I won't say anything more. But yeah, stay away from crystals. They are back in. I do really want a pair like they have on V, but I would never wear them. I'll wear them like a costume. You slept from 4:20ish to noonish. 4:20, is that you sending me signals? Is that a sign? To noonish. That's a decent amount of time. What is that, like 5.5 hours? No, 7.5 hours. Retired Floridian sunglasses. There you go. You like to win the Powerball and retire early. Oh man, wouldn't we all? Well, you can always invest in Pulse Chain. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. Oh, well, I don't think I look cool, but thank you. I appreciate it. My hair's insane tonight. Yes. The single lens. Yeah, that's like the old people sunglasses, but also the V sunglasses. Just leave whatever to pay bills. Yeah, that's the thing. This is the cool thing though that amazes me about Pulse and Hacks is like you owning something that has so much potential. What it could be. And it's not like I put my life on hold waiting for that moment. No, you live your life, you kind of forget like it's there and you do what you got to do. And but knowing that it has that potential is a pretty cool thing, I'm also though easygoing too, so I guess I could deal with not having a lot. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you for coming in. And yes, I would love those likes if you guys are willing to bestow them upon me. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's hard with sunglasses. They don't always fit your face perfectly, but that one does. So yeah, she made a good choice. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so behind. Thank you, Crypto Jack. Tortoiseshell. Yeah, I think not legit tortoiseshell, but I guess they're supposed to look like that. Oh, well, thank you. Too nice. You guys too nice to me. Vogue. I know. Should I do that Madonna Vogue? Sorry. Second somebody says Vogue. I want to start voguing, but I don't know how to Vogue. Oh, yeah, exactly. Got to be careful with the good ones. So I'm like, those nice ones that my sister got me do not go in my head like I do not use them as a headband. Yeah. They stay nice like that. It's crossed my mind, but I also feel like I'm at this point, like where I just need like a quick job to jump into where I can't invest a lot of time to learn something completely new or like, I'm just kind of, I don't know, I need something that's not like super career-y. Like I don't plan to spend my whole career in it, but I do appreciate the suggestion. Truly, I know that's the problem. Yeah, education, a lot of it is memorization. When you're teaching to the test, a lot of that is what happens, unfortunately. Rote memorization, which you then eventually forget. Thank you. Oh, so that's why you fell asleep at 4:20. There you go. Not my cup of tea. Oh, well, thank you for being here, Clintrons. It must be morning for you. So you have a good Sunday. Sorry, catching up here. Doesn't matter about qualifications. It's memorization. Savants remember everything, but they're useless at problem solving, which is real intelligence, man. Yeah, we've talked about that in my family because we've seen people that are like, we know people that do really well in school, but when you see them trying to problem solve in real life, it's like horrifying. It's like, how can you not figure that out? Like, spatially, that they do not have like a spatial sense of problem solving or even just anything. Like, it's really wild. I guess it's like kind of like, I don't know, just because you're book smart does not mean you're able to function. Yeah, because like you said, anybody can memorize. It's being able to apply things, yeah, and problem solve. Even dogs problem solve. I know. Yeah, it took me a while to go through all the comments. I'm sorry. But man, our numbers have stayed up tonight. So thank you all for not like running for the hills the second I started talking. Um so many people live streaming and ignore the chat. But here's the thing. This is what I like about live streaming. If I just wanted to talk the whole time, I could do a podcast. But I don't want to do a podcast because I like the back and forth. I'm an extrovert. I like to be able to just hear different things, exchange information. We all get to learn from each other. I like this back and forth. So that's why I prefer the live stream platform instead of, I mean, podcasting is cool and it has its place, but I'm not that type of person. I like to bounce off people. So yeah. But I didn't realize that a lot of streamers ignore the chat. I guess maybe the streamers I watch are pretty cool with the chat. Oh, so yes. So thank you for that suggestion. So Maddie and Lit, I got to give wrenches too. And if anybody else wants a wrench, just in my comments, not the live chat, in the actual comments, and I'll give you a wrench. If you try to be a cop, take an IQ test if you score too high. What? No, that sounds like a myth. Come on. If you were on mute, you'd want to know. I'm confused. Oh, gotcha. For people that aren't looking at the live chat. Yeah, then they wouldn't know they were on mute. It's true, because one time I did start a stream on mute, and the live chat told me. I don't know, but that sounds like a myth, because like, who does IQ test anymore? Nobody knows their IQ score. I think there would be a lot of like upset people. I wonder, do they like, not cops, but I mean in general? I heard they used to test IQ in school years ago. Do they not do it anymore because people would be like really upset and heartbroken, like to find out they're dumb? I don't know. Okay, so you're not sure if that's a myth or not. You don't want a wrench because people act differently toward wrenches. Okay, you like to be one of the regular folks. See, I can't think anymore. But you know what? Here's the thing. When you said it's similar to the military, notice we just had a purge of the military. The people who questioned the narrative and questioned authority, and the military purged them. I think that's really interesting. So I think there are purges that happens in these organizations, but I don't think it's IQ related. I think they look at certain things and use them to be able to purge them, right? All those people that got thrown out of the military because they refused, because they wanted medical choice, that was a purge, because these are people that stood up to authority and said no. So different kind of purge, but I think they don't use IQs because they just use stuff like that. They dumb us down with Netflix and Squid Games and bread. Give them their bread and their circuses. What is it? They'll never revolt. They'll be happy. I'm a person who likes media. I like TV. I like music. I like concerts and stuff. But like, I really find myself becoming less tolerant toward everything. You really see how, like, I don't know, that there really is a brainwashing and everything, and it just kind of turns you off. Like, if you're aware of it, it kind of makes you less susceptible of it. But I'm like, everything just seems like garbage. The programs, the music, I don't know. Like, I don't do concerts anymore. I used to do concerts a lot, and I mean, yeah. I mean, I already kind of had limited my exposure slightly to concerts, because here's the thing. Here's the thing when it comes to COVID and lockdowns. Everybody has to make choices according to what their needs are and their family needs. So before COVID, because I'm a caregiver for somebody who has certain maybe sensitivities and they can't catch things like the flu, I would have to be careful during flu season. I'd have specific things. Maybe I shouldn't go to that event. I would pick and choose and make choices according to my situation, accordingly. And so that's the thing that happened with COVID. We didn't need to lock down. Everybody needed to make choices accordingly. And some people might think that's stupid and overreactive that I chose not to. I used to love general admission concerts, and that I chose not to pack in at concerts shoulder to shoulder for the past couple of years anymore. Um, but that's what I had to do, just like I was doing before COVID, because that was a choice because of my caregiving situation. The person I'm caregiving, I can't get sick with anything really. So I made that choice to not go to concerts. So I kind of skipped it for the past couple of years, and I went to my first one this summer. And I'm like, shoot, that motivation to go has been sucked out of me. Like they just don't feel the same anymore. I'm not having as much fun, and the people are different. There's just something missing from these performers. Like it's just like that heart, the passion. I don't know. Something's off. Um yeah, things aren't the same. Let's see. Um okay, so we're talking oh yeah, no, that's happened. Yep, that happened here. People made a medical choice, kicked out. Are they now letting them back into the military? But yeah, I know people had to take their retirement earlier than they'd expected. But when you look at that, that's a purge. That's a purge. Like that was their way of determining who could think for themselves and stand up to authority, and they got rid of them. You might want to talk to Identity Block. He's starting a crypto taxes course. Your teaching background is tax may work well for the course. Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for that suggestion. I don't think we follow each other. Identity Block. I don't recall seeing him on Twitter. I'll have to follow him. Oh yeah, definitely. And I've heard that purges have been happening in the military since like the Obama administration. I mean, but this is blatant. This was massive, which I think was very scary. Never watched Squid Games. The live rug of the copycat scam was hilarious, though. I don't know what live rug. Never. Oh, wait. I'm confused. Do you remember the herd of cattle? Oh, I forgot about that. That was weird. See, and then I don't know. Yeah, they blamed it. Yeah, something else obviously happened. Yeah, and they spun it to suit their own narrative. But didn't they kind of sweep it under the rug really quickly after that, and we moved on fast? Like, what? Why? Any other time period that would have caught a lot of attention. But also, everybody just seems weird, and people can't critically think anymore. So easily, everybody's like zombies now. So it's easy to kind of just sweep things out of people's mind now. I loaded YouTube on the phone, saw a commercial and uninstalled. I can't with the commercials. I don't watch live TV anymore. So it's so weird to come across a commercial. Some smart conspiracy people are saying it was that Halloween crush. Here's what I do know about that frequency. That's not a healthy frequency for humans. So whether or not it was, linked to these events, if it was, I wouldn't be surprised. But whether or not that's that doesn't that start getting into dangerous territory for humans? And the fact that they're like pushing it on everything, now it's hard to find a phone without 5G. And do you really want that near you? And then I've heard that the companies are like, oh well, you could turn off the 5G on your phone. But I'm still like, I don't know, it's capable of transmitting 5G. Like, is that intentional to keep us not healthy? I don't know. Because both types of people, it's not good for 5G. That's why I got this phone. This phone is the 11. I got it in 2020, and I went all out on it. Like I got like the highest amount of gigs possible. I probably didn't need it because I said to myself, I said, this is going to be the last iPhone before they start rolling out the 5G. So let me get it. Let me get a good one so this could last as long as I can make it last. Because I do not want to get a 5G phone. So that's what I did. And yeah, so live rug in 1 minute is hilarious. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. And who even watches the news anymore? Right? I mean, at least not us. It's so I can't even like tolerate it. And I think it just like live news is just makes people anxious. Just enough of the news and not opinionated ones. The news without the commercials. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can find the right ones, uh, or something straight to the point, but like everything, it's just like even the local news that, like, the 7 o'clock news, um, is just not what it was. And it's just like the same stuff, opinions and indoctrination and bias and everything. It's like, yeah, we're better off just getting it from the internet and Twitter. Twitter too. Yeah, and then the TV makes and then they get all nervous and anxious and then vote the wrong way too. I noticed some people just like that I know seem more anxious than the more news they watch. And it's like just shut off the news. Let's see. Alrighty. I'm fading, guys. I'm tired. That was fun. Thank you all for being here. I'm gonna bail. Well, I want to watch an episode of Dairy Girls. I will say that. I will disclose that if I can stay awake for it. Um, and then I'm gonna fall asleep, and then take advantage of that extra hour before I go to work in the morning. Yeah, I have come to the end of the chat. I've reached the end. Remember that TV commercial? You have reached the end of the internet. You have seen everything there is to see. I think it was the late 90s or the early 2000s, but I don't know. That just cracked me up. Yeah, so reached the end of the chat tonight. It was nice chatting with you all. It was nice being back. It was fun just talking about everything all over the map. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you to those of you who sent live chats and their super chats and stickers, or they called super stickers. I appreciate each and every one of them. It always makes me so happy. And if you want to donate in another way to the channel, uh, I have my wallet in the description and in my Venmo in there too. And thank you to those of you who had sent me things in my wallet. It was completely shocked and surprised. So thank you. I really no, truly, like legit. I say it all the time, but it blows my mind that anybody would send anything. And the fact that you guys are in here and spend time, and like I said, I thought maybe like nobody would come back because I've been off of this live streaming for so long. So it means a lot that you guys are all back here hanging out with me. So hope to see you next week for my chat with Lit. And what else do I want to say? I hope you all have a good night. And those of us in the US, enjoy your extra hour of sleep. Those of you over the Atlantic, I hope you enjoyed your extra hour last week. That was fun to talk weirdness. Again, the unseen realm. I have not started this, but I plan to start it and underline things and take notes. And I got my little flags ready. I usually don't read books like this, but this is just like chock full of like fantastic information. Genesis 6, man, dive into that rabbit hole. That is an incredible rabbit hole to be in. There's also the documentary. I plan to watch that on YouTube too for the Unseen Realm. And Blurry Creatures, I cannot recommend that podcast enough. Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, so thank you guys. Oh, and thank you. Good night, everybody. Good night, Tin Top. Thank you, Hex Hoddle. Tin Top, Mandalorian, is that Boba Fett? I was trying, I don't know. I like Star Wars, but I'm always bad when it comes to remembering those helmets in the Mandalorian. Bearded Saint, thank you guys for sticking through this entire 2 hours and almost 40 minutes later. John Davis, oh, very nice seeing you too. Get some rest and look forward to you hosting a show in Antarctica. Oh my gosh, I still want to do that. Yes, I cannot wait. I got to do more research on that. I downloaded a book, one of these old books about it. I'll have to find the name of it and share it with you guys that somebody recommended. Is it the Smoky something? I think it's an old book about Antarctica. the Smoky God. But yeah, always, yeah, I like the laid backness of it, not too structured. So, and I'm glad that you guys are digging it too. I have not looked into Tom Campbell. I haven't, but I have to. Mr. Okel, Brian, Hex Hoddle, John Davis, Tin Top Bearded Saint. Thank you all for staying this whole time. Andrew Kennedy, Michael Parks. Thank you guys so much. It was awesome seeing you all tonight. I'm not just saying that I missed everybody. I truly did miss everybody. I miss all my friends who live inside the computer. That's all right. I know you guys live elsewhere. Andrew Kennedy, Insidious Tomas, thank you guys so much. You all have a wonderful night and a wonderful week. And I will see you when I see you, which would be Saturday or hopefully sooner if I can work it out. So you all have a good night. All righty. Bye. Mwah. Bye.